Are live. There's another episode of Schlockaholics. I'm here as always, Cody. We got our buddy Septum Sin. Mo will be here shortly. And then we have visiting us today to talk about his great movie Lost Faith, as well as a bunch of other stuff that we want to ask him. The king of the B movies himself, Joel Wynkoop. Joel, thanks for hopping on with us, man.
You guys are very welcome. Thank you for having me on here. I do appreciate it. When I get asked to do shows, I always tell them, whoever has me on, thank you so much. I very much appreciate it. You guys could go get anybody you want, and you chose me, and I do appreciate that, though. So thank you.
Yep, I know if Cody hadn't chosen one, I'm sure I would have, because it's hard to go into the indie scene without hitting a Wynkoop feature at one way or another.
Well, I tried, damn it. I tried.
Which is definitely a good thing. It was hard to pick because I definitely wanted to do something. It was a toss up with me of either doing Lost Faith or Dirty Cop No Donut, just because I love that movie. It was just probably one of my favorites for sure. It's definitely neck and neck with Lost Faith.
Oh, cool.
I'm happy about I pre-ordered that Tim Ritter set, so I'm happy to get those two on Blu-ray coming up. That looks like a great set.
Just took so long. I mean, it's almost May now, but I kind of guess it's pre-order. And we did pre-order too for Doomsday, but his was like order it 4 months ago and you don't get it till May. And it was $70. But I understand because it's 4 discs. So I did get 2, so I'd have them for myself. But a long time to wait. And like if you get a movie through me, you usually get it in 4 days. I don't want to wait 4 months or 5 months to get a movie. I mean,
especially with Doomsday Stories. I mean, you got that box in that day. I think you shipped mine out later on that afternoon.
Yeah, I got it in, I think Saturday morning at 11, and I got everything. Kathy and I had all the envelopes packed, and then I took off, and I got to the post office right at 2:00. I came in, and the guy was, "Man, you just made it." They closed the door behind me and locked it, and I was there till 2:45, going between 2 registers, sending all this stuff out. So yeah, get it out quick.
I'd forgotten how many times I donated to the campaign because I'd gotten extra ones, but I wanted to try and push it forward because I have a lot of faith in Phil Herman putting stuff together, and of course your stuff as well, which of course it did not disappoint with 187 times, to be sure.
We were talking about before you hopped on that. I mean, that was definitely our favorite short on there, and we're very, very happy that you're making it into a full-length movie.
I just was thinking about, because we just did there's a TV station here, Bay News 9, and we just did a television thing with them, and it'll be on TV in a couple weeks. And if they put it together, what they shot, because I know me as an editor too, you cut things up, especially for television, but they told me, they go, no, pretty much everything we have we're going to use. And that was them showing Kathy and I doing scenes. Sean was there. Sean Donahue was actually shooting the scenes. And then we did, of course, a plug about Tampa Bay Screams. But they covered everything from me getting into the suit, getting out of the suit, talking about it. And when I took the suit off, the camera guy and the host is like, "Oh my God, your shirt's soaking." I go, "Yeah." I go, "You put this suit on in the weather, and I'm, you're drenched right away because that suit is so hot."
I was going to say, you film out of Florida, don't you?
Yeah. Well, we had one day. Kathy told me, she goes, "Baby, the weather is going to be really cold tomorrow or Tuesday, and we should go out and get your shots in the suit." And I put the suit on, and I wasn't hot, I wasn't cold, I was perfect. She was cold because she's always cold because I'm freezing out here. But for me, I didn't work up a sweat in there because of the weather. But the day we did the Bay News 9 thing, it was hot again. But about the movie, yeah, I got with Phil shooting. He should be shooting my stuff today. And then Ken in Los Angeles is shooting his stuff Monday. Then I put together my stuff, and the whole movie's already done. All I need is those 3 scenes to drop into it. So that'll be going to the duplicator almost right after the Doomsday Stories, Cast and Crew Confidential. I'll get that out to the duplicator and make sure he gets it. That'll get the system. They'll start making it, and then I'll send 187 times because I want to keep them separate. I don't want any mistakes.
So is your wife getting a larger role in that one? I love y'all's chemistry on and off is quite fun to watch.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, she well, she plays, the artificial intelligence space-time distortion array, ASTA. When I wrote that, I said we can either do this two ways. I can have you come up out of the watch so I can actually talk to you, like in the Flash. They have Gideon. Gideon comes up out of the computer and talks to the Flash, or Legends of Tomorrow. But the dialogue was very heavy, and she goes, I really don't want to do that. I go, and if you see, if when you see the movie, the dialogue is really heavy laden for the Asta device. So no, she was happy doing, the hospital scene, the ending scene. In the movie, I don't think anything changes in there except for her Asta voice, because she's got to put it in for the guy in Los Angeles, and then she's got to put it in for the new stuff I shot. So it pretty much stays the same.
Yeah, it looked like. Sorry,
just so I don't forget. I mean, huge shout out to your wife. She is a sweetheart.
Yes.
She's very good in a lot of these movies, and
the guys say hi, baby.
Definitely wanted
love you.
Definitely wanted to give her a shout out. She is an absolute sweetheart.
She says hi back.
She definitely made Craiglon 3 for me, and Horror Stories, the Horror Tales 666, because just y'all's interaction in the house, where she's basically kicking your butt around.
Yeah,
it's just some great, like I say, great chemistry there.
And her mocking you when you're yelling out for the ghost is
yeah.
That was so good.
I need to capture that clip.
It's funny because she says this a lot, and she's right. A lot of times she's just Joel's wife when she's doing something, but she tries to make a point. She says, I can act. It's not just I'm his wife. I can act. And I try and stress that too. I've been on auditions. We went on an audition together, and I went into the room for my audition, and I did it. And the director guy was sitting there, and he goes, "Okay, that was different." And I go, "You didn't like it?" And he goes, "No. Thanks a lot for coming by." And I go, "Okay." And, I'm used to that, whatever. I leave. Kathy goes in, does the audition, comes out. Well, they liked it, but they didn't say anything. They told us later, they wrote Kathy, and they go, "We really loved you, but we didn't like your husband. And we didn't want to pick you. We thought we'd offend him." And I'm thinking, oh my God, no, you wouldn't have. I mean, that's the business. So Kathy actually lost a role that she was really good at, and the filmmaker really liked, but he didn't give it to her because of me, because he didn't like me. And I'll tell you what, they should have went with Kathy, because the girl they got, they liked her because she was like crazy, doing the part crazy, but she was crazy. They gave her a machete, and she went nuts in the studio, and the director got his face cut up because she got too close.
Shit. What movie was this?
Yeah, that I can't remember. It was something about the circus, but they liked how Kathy did it, and she didn't cut anybody with the weapon they gave her, because you're acting. The other girl went nuts and struck out at the director and split his face open. So.
Yeah, generally not cutting someone on film on the set is a good idea.
Debbie Rochon's got the best story, because she walked away. Yeah, she stabs the machete down, and her hand slides down the machete. Or no, she stabbed it down the handle. And when she left to do something, the director said, "The machete looks fake. I'm going to put a real machete in there." So he slammed the machete down, or no, he laid it down, and then they got Debbie back, and they said, "Okay, shoot the scene, action." Debbie grabs a machete, slams it into the desk. The handle snapped on it, and her hand went right down the blade and cut her fingers.
Yeah,
not completely off, but pretty close. And before she could get to her lawyer, the filmmakers were like, get a lawyer, she's going to sue. And I'm like,
rightly so.
That's like switching to load a gun at the last minute and go put it to your head and pull the trigger. It's okay.
A machete's not a stabbing weapon. It's most of them don't even have a hilt on them to protect from that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Apologies for my tardiness, boys, and my moistness. I plowed through the last couple hours of work to get here.
Oh boy, I've been there before.
I'm sorry to interrupt your guys' stuff. That just sounds fascinating. I'm gonna need to figure out what movie that is and check it out.
We were holding the main event for your.
We're just doing kind of random chit chat.
Well, sorry to hold you guys back, man.
We have plenty to talk about, so we figured we'd take
Yeah,
advantage until you got here, and then we could just do the show since you're here.
Well, this is your show today, Cody, so I'm just going to kind of let you run it how you will. I've definitely got first impressions for Lost Faith. This was my first Wynkoop movie. I've been aware of Joel for a while now, especially through you guys, but I think I was partially aware of him beforehand. And this was a hell of a first experience here. So,
yeah,
thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
With me, it was my buddy Josh Coughlin. He let me know about the first Craiglon when it came out, and I was kind of just getting more into the micro budget, low budget B movies, and had me watch that. And then I got a hold of you because you were just now coming out with the second one, and got the first two from you, and then the third one eventually. And then going back and looking through your catalog, I'm like, oh, I'd seen plenty of your movies, just didn't know they were your movies. Like, I mean, Truth or Dare and Truth or Dare, Killing Spree. I mean, just Creep. So much stuff that I didn't realize because I didn't put two and two together. So I mean, I thought my first time seeing your stuff, but it definitely wasn't. And then, I've hit you up several times buying a bunch of stuff. My Wynkoop stack is getting higher and higher, and I'm 100% okay with that. But I was happy that I'd bought Lost Faith from you before, and then when the Blu-ray release came out, Septum Sin did the same thing I did. Like, we'd rather spend a couple extra bucks from you.
Yep.
To get
best to give to.
I ended up with the older version of it.
Oh, you got Joel Wynkoop.
Oh yeah, because
yeah.
Honestly, kind of want
cover.
more of these.
There's 9 in the Joel Wynkoop collection.
I'm gonna need them.
You got Truth There, Killing Spree, Wicked Game, Screaming for Sanity. All of them. The Bite, all the way up through.
Do they have those sweet poolside volleyball intros with you at the beginning of all of them?
Yep.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna need all of those now.
All right.
Yeah, I think I ended up at one time having bought Lost Faith, I think 3 times.
Did you really?
Dude, this is a movie I could see buying as like a stocking stuffer.
Actually, no, I saw all 3 of them from you because I bought the Vinegar Syndrome from you as well. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I tell you what, there's, people that want to, well, I do it too to an extent. I don't do like the Evil Dead in the Book of the Dead, the other Evil Dead cover, the other Evil Dead cover, the other Evil Dead cover, the other Evil. I won't do that. But for this low budget realm, like I've got the original Burglar from Hell on VHS. I have the Burglar from Hell on DVD. I have the Vinegar Syndrome Burglar from Hell. So in that respect, yeah, I do get them. I want to have all those different covers of my friends that are doing movies and maybe not so much Hollywood. I might get a couple, but like I said, the Evil Dead one where it goes, it's in the Book of the Dead and another version. Occasionally I might get those, but like I said, for like Burglar from Hell and other things like that, I might say, oh, it's kind of a cool different cover. I want to get that.
Oddly enough, I think you were wearing an Evil Dead t-shirt maybe in the intro for Lost Faith.
I think I might have. I know my buddy Bill Castanelli, he bought me an Evil Dead, but they market it here, but it's got the Japan logo on it. And that's what I'm wearing in full vernacular. And I might be wearing it in that, or it might be the just the regular version. But I think you're right. I think I'm wearing Evil Dead.
Yeah, I like to have several copies sometimes of things that I think are interesting so that I can share the wealth and get others involved and introduced where they don't have to put any money down to be introduced. And then if they like it, then tell them, hey, this is where you get more.
I always do it with really dumb stuff like Mac and Me or Abyss.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Just movies that I need to own every edition of, or Alien is an obvious one.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I know Craiglon was my first introduction to any Wynkoop movies, and I'll say I know Craiglon 1 through 3 and Horror Tales 666 1, 2, 3 through 3 better than most, I think, because I've watched each one of those 6 or 7 times a piece.
Dude, I think it's safe to say if Brandon has done one of those psychoanalysis of the movies, he has definitely watched it more than anyone on the planet, with maybe a couple of rare exceptions. This dude does like 5 watch throughs of those at least, bare minimum, to do those things. So that's, and usually right in a row.
Oh yeah, you got to do it back to back to catch things.
Yeah, you really do. And as much as you want to say, and I won't do it because I see too many other people do it. And I go, you know what? I have too much respect for the person that made the movie. If I put the movie in, whether I'm just watching it or reviewing it, or just forget the review, just watching it, I won't touch my remote. I won't go, this is boring, let me speed it up. This is boring, let me speed up. I won't do that. I watch the entire thing. That's the way it is supposed to be. You're supposed to watch the entire thing. You know, that's what makes it. That's what makes it what it is. So I will take it and watch the whole thing through, and I'm not gonna, insult it or put it down or fast forward through it. I'm gonna watch it. Now, in regards to like someone doing a review, like Brandon does, he'll say, because I knew Craigline Incident. There's nothing you can tell me about it that I don't already know. So if you go, well, the audio's high here, the audio's low, I already know that. I don't need to know that. It was the best I could do because I'm trying to work with 86 other cameras and, and then put them in the editor and then try and match the sounds. And so I already know that. So I already know it's got its, and this is what Phil says. He goes, everybody knows this is an independent movie. You don't have Universal Studios behind you. People know you're the one cutting it together. So I already know those things. I knew that the first day I stepped out of my front porch because the television said you can't go anywhere. We are in a pandemonium and you cannot leave your homes. And I told my wife, I go, they saying I can't go downtown? She goes, no, baby. They don't want you to go on down and hanging out, socializing. They'd rather just have you home in your car. And that's right when the pandemic hit, right then. So I started shooting it on my porch. It was something stupid. All I was going to do was 3 minutes to entertain myself. And then it just grew. I started getting other actors and filmmakers and Phil and Chauncey Phillips. And then I had a movie. So I already knew it was going to be a mishmash, and you can't really fix that. And I was like, that's the way it's going to be. But there's a difference between, like Brandon might say, well, the audio was kind of hard to hear. And then that's a difference saying that than just saying this is a big piece of shit. It smelled up my whole house. I had to get toilet paper. Then I saw it was this movie. You don't have to, and I don't care.
It's very rare that we do that to a film.
Yeah, I've never
it has
seen
to be real bad.
Any of you guys, but the guys that did the last review for Lost Faith, that's what they did. And the one guy clearly didn't watch it. The other guy was an actor, and he's done some movies, and that's the one that said I turned it off after 10 seconds. And I'm like, how'd you feel if your movie came on and it said, da, 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 the great movie? And I went, I don't like the great movie intro. And I shut it off and said, it sucked.
Yeah,
Dude, did you watch it?
It's like those people that say, oh, I walked out of a movie. I walked out of that movie after 15 minutes. And it's like, what are you talking about, you dink? Like that's barely the opening credits and like the first 5 minutes of the movie.
I've never walked out of a movie. I paid too much.
You paid too much.
This day and age, if you walk out of a movie, you might as well just burn $20 bills.
Yeah, go roll out the street. Don't go to the movie. Walk up to a stranger and go, here's $20, buddy. Have a good day.
See, I find it hard to believe anybody that's watched this movie start to finish could truly dislike it on every level. I mean, this was my first film with you, and man, did it kick ass.
It's expectations.
Right.
He's got a point. It's expectations. The other guys they were looking for a Hollywood movie, and that's not what it was. And I don't blame them. I always want honesty. I don't want someone kissing my ass. I don't want somebody saying,
well, dude, you definitely don't have to worry about that with me.
Yeah, and I don't mean it that way. I just mean I don't want somebody going, oh, it's so great, I love it, because I know it's not that great. Independence Day, that's fucking great. Okay, that's great. But to go after it and just rip it apart for no other reason than to do that, and especially when the people doing it couldn't make a movie, And not to mention,
Yeah,
I did
and
this
probably
in
would never
1988.
even try to because
Yeah.
they know that they can't. I mean,
Yeah.
I went into this, to be quite honest, I don't know what it is with me underestimating these dudes. I got to stop doing that. Mostly it's been Brandon, but
I bring stuff that you look at and you go.
This time it was one of those situations where it was like we'd shown the Lost Faith trailer on probably 4 or 5 of our episodes up to this point. You know, it just kept coming up. And I knew that there was a reasonably good chance that it would kick some ass, just based on the trailer, like the hyper trailer or whatever. But then I almost kind of like when I was going into it last night, I was like, maybe I overhyped myself for this. Like, this can't possibly kick as much ass as we built it up to kick. And boy, did it over, it exceeded my expectations. I thought that this was gloriously badass. It reminded me simultaneously of like video games I played as a kid. Like, this is like Double Dragon if you put a couple of shots of whiskey in it and it became a real life movie. Or Lone Wolf McQuade, your intro. As soon as I was hearing that intro, because I kind of just put the DVD in thinking, oh, there might be some trailers beforehand. I can like make a sandwich while I'm getting ready to watch this. And then it was Joel sitting there throwing like a volleyball, maybe at imaginary people while he's doing
They
the
were
intro.
imaginary, yeah.
And he's talking about Lone Wolf McQuade and how he made everyone watch the final fight or whatever of Lone Wolf McQuade. And I was like, this has to rule. And boy, did it ever, man. And another thing that I think that this is a great example of, I don't know how religious of a man that you are these days or at the time, but I think that this is a great example of how you can do something that I guess is maybe a little bit evangelical, but if it kicks enough ass, it doesn't matter if you're religious or not. I'd put this in the same camp as like Stryper, the band, where it's like, you don't have to be a religious person to know that Stryper shreds, and I think that that's something you could also apply to Lost Faith. It's just an ass kicking sort of action, rescue revenge type film that doesn't take itself too seriously. And man, do I love this. It's that, like I said, I could see buying this as a stocking stuffer and just gifting it to unsuspecting friends, or like just buying copies of it and putting it in random mailboxes on my route just so that people will watch it. It's just good times, man. I loved every minute of it. The chapter thing threw me off a little bit though on this particular DVD, because I was like, oh, this is only like 45 minutes or whatever. So I'm watching it and I'm like, how are they going to wrap this up in the last 5 minutes?
Wait, what happened? Because
then it switches to another chapter that's, it's 45 minutes, and then it switches to another chapter that's 37 minutes long. So it's like it's broken up. It's one of those DVDs that does that thing.
Oh, that's weird. I never knew that. I didn't even know they did that. So the movie stops and then you gotta.
No, it doesn't stop. It just it's like it chapter skips. We're big into runtime over here. So I'm definitely one of those dudes. When I watch a movie, my remote's with me, but not so that I can fast forward unless it's one of those box sets where there's like tons of stock footage and the sequels. But with this, most of the time it's still like a rewind shit, which I did several times with this movie.
Cool.
And then it's also so I could check runtime, because most movies are right in that sweet spot of like 60 to 70 minutes. This is one that honestly, you paced it so perfectly. I didn't feel like it was 90 minutes long, even watching it, even knowing the runtime. It felt like one of those 60 or 70 minute ass kickers,
Well, I try and keep them going together, but before we go anymore, I'll take the low road on this, because this is some of what those other guys covered. Like when he said, well, the police detective said this and that, we don't know that. And then the host of the show goes, yeah, he did. He explained all that. And then the other guy would go, oh, okay. And then the other guy would go, well, it's not very good done, because this wasn't said and this wasn't said. How did we get to that? And then the host of the show would go, yes, it did. He explains all that. And the other guy would go, oh. So clearly he was not watching the movie. He was just fast forwarding. The other thing is the quality, but what do you want from 1988? We shot that on
dude.
It is video. Oh, really? Yes.
I love it. That. I love that greasy, gritty old, like sort of like low budget, almost SOB style. I don't know what you shot this on, because I'm not really a camera nerd, but man, do I love the way this movie looks and sounds. The lo-fi soundtrack just it tickled all of my tingly bits in the right ways. You know, it's that perfect mix between like 80s action movie and video game style stuff, which I'm sure just comes down to what technology you guys were using to produce it or whatever.
Well, I went to Vero Beach recording. I was Stefan Weissmiller, Michael Johnson. They had a studio, and when I was working Crystal Water, I delivered their water. So I asked them all about it. Before you know it, I'm in there. I'm singing the Photogenic Woman, and he's in his studio doing all this stuff, mixing the sound. So yeah, when we have that music in there, people go, "It sounds like video game music." I agree. I listened to it and I go, that does sound like it was, but that was the sound in 1988. I mean, and these guys, they can't compare 88 to 2020. There's no comparison. It's like my friend said, "Oh, the original Star Trek, so phony. The phaser moves up and down when they're firing, and now Next Generation is so much better." And I'm like, no shit, Sherlock. What do you expect? It was 1968.
Yeah, what are you doing, dude?
And we're
You're
going
like
to 1997. You know,
you can't retroactively grade shit from the 70s based on modern standards. And I mean, you know what? At the time, if you had like the right spirit going into these movies, there's something called suspension of disbelief that helps a lot when you're watching a friggin' film. So, I mean, I don't know. Don't take it so seriously. I feel like whoever was reviewing this movie and treating it like that was just trying to be like ironically funny by ripping on a bad movie or whatever.
Well, yeah,
and that's pretty lame.
I saw that one too.
I think that was, and like I said, it doesn't bother me, but don't go so far that you're just making it like it was such torture to watch my movie, that it was horrible and someone ripped your eyeballs out and held them up to the screen and said, "You will watch this movie or die."
It's probably more fun than most of the modern Marvel movies that come out, if I'm honest.
I won't say any of that, but
what's annoying,
I'll go on record as saying that shit.
Is like these are like these guys' shticks. Like they make these shows just to, you know, send us your worst movie and I'm going to review it and just bash it the whole time.
Yeah. It all stems from the angry video game nerd. He made that kind of stuff popular, and then it took off, and everyone felt that that's the way they had to review these movies. They couldn't just tap into that childlike part of them that's like, "Oh, this rules." You know, I don't need it to be fancy Hollywood. I mean, just mixing something like half of these movies sounds like a nightmare, especially when they've been shot with like multiple different cameras. This, from what I understood from your intro, you guys made over the course of like 3 years. So the fact that it even exists with such perfect pacing and such like continuity, and like it feels like it was a movie that was shot in 3 days, but really it was shot over the course of like really like 1 long year, it sounds like, and then like reshoots later on a year or 2 later. It pieced together perfectly. I think a lot of the people that review movies like that don't know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to movies, but they'd like to think they do because they've watched Fargo or a couple of Tarantino flicks or something.
Well, that's the last thing I'll touch on, and then you guys, because I don't want to take up your time with it, but I do like to defend myself. But also back then, my humor was, you know, and even in the other actors were looking at me going, I don't get your humor, but I like Monty Python's Flying Circus. I like Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So when Mai's going, "Do you know what we're doing here, Fred?" "I don't know what we're doing here. The master's got a TV up at his house. He'd think he'd let me come up there and watch all my children." And then he's like, "I got a pimple on the inside of my mouth. Want to see?" And he's, "What are you going to do with your money, Barney?" "I'm going to get girls and start my own organization." "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to open up my own research and see how jock itch happens." Now, they were taking all that too serious. They were like, "Why does he have guards on the islands talking about jock itch? Why doesn't anybody have guns?"
Because the jungle's moist, bro.
Yeah, they were. I can say they were missing the humor, but maybe they didn't find it humorous. But to me, the pimple in the mouth, the jock itch, you know, all those scenes that are supposed to be funny. To me, when Barnes was up in the tree, I remember my cameraman saying, "Dude, nah, man, we're not going to do that." I go, "Yeah, we are. Get up in that tree. This will be funny."
I
That's my humor.
I probably woke people up laughing at this last night.
It's a trope that you would have. You got the incompetent guards. They're sitting there having their chit chat, and you finesse it on that part to
Dude, I
make
knew
sure-
I was going to love this movie when the security guard walks up and he's describing the guy that kidnapped his wife, and he's
That's
talking
Tim
about
Ritter.
how it was a black guy with like Mr. T chains, and then they ask if he has facial hair, and the security guard goes, "Yeah, facial hair, similar to mine, but not as good." And that one line was when I knew that I was like, all right, this is for me.
That was Tim Ritter. Tim Ritter made that. I just told him, I go, this is what I want. And that's another thing they just attacked me on. There's so much going on in the beginning. I don't know. Dude, that's the fucking point. It's
that's
supposed
the fun
to
of
be.
it.
That's
You're
the
sucked
chaos
into
of
the
it.
chaos of it. Yeah.
And Tim came up with that. I just said, here's the lines. And at the last second, Tim comes up with, he had a rough beard like mine, not quite as good as mine, and that was all Tim Ritter doing that. But the part with, and the guy goes, make sure you get this down to evidence. Make sure don't get any prints on it. And and Marty grabs it from out of the handkerchief and he goes, yeah, I'll take good. They don't get that. I'm like, don't you get the detective is stupid. He put his fingerprints on the weapon. Don't you guys get that?
Oh, I love it. And he's going to stick it in his coat pocket.
Yeah.
I also love how he's like, oh, I dropped the fry.
Yeah, he dropped he's on a crime scene. They'd be like, yeah, police can't have food on a crime scene. Although Port St. Lucie, we had reports there was a murder next to my house that's in the movie years later. Someone was killed there. And Port St. Lucie detectives came in there, and one cop was smoking, and another cop was like, get out of it. What are you doing? He's, it's just a cigarette. And it's like the cops even forgot their own rules, And the guy was like, get out. What, you're contaminating a crime scene. Oh, it's just get out. So in reality, but mine, and you touched on something else, and I'm never afraid to talk about it. Yeah, I'm a Christian. I'm probably stronger now today because I pray with so many people. But when I did Lost Faith, see, my dad was a minister, and after my dad died, he never got to see Lost Faith. He was already passed away. But my brother-in-law said, I came to you because we got to talk to you about getting in the ministry. And I said, Carl, that's not what I want to do. If I do it, I'll pass the Lord's message on in a movie when I can. I'm not going to jam it down. I didn't jam it down anybody's throat in Lost Faith, but it was still, because I had a good friend of mine. He watched it. He loved the movie until the end. And then when Steve Nakota's on the ground, he goes, please, God. He goes, no, don't ask God to help you. God don't care. I was like, don't get so mad. Why are you getting so mad at me?
I loved it, dude. And I'm about as far from religious as you can get. But the thing is, like, I compared it to the band Striper earlier. Like, there's nothing wrong with being stoked, even if you're not religious, on somebody else's religious journey, their evolution with God or whatever. And the way I like to think that your dad would have been proud of this. You managed to do some ministry type stuff in a way that makes it accessible to people, like me, who are even, I'm probably not going to be going to church this weekend or anything. But, it made me think about it a little bit. It made me consider that, even though that stuff doesn't really do anything for me, it does stuff for other people. And it's cool to see somebody put it in something in a way, like you said, that's not shoving it down anyone's throat. You're not really preaching at them. It's just kind of like an element of the movie, of this character's progression through the events of the film. I loved the ending. I loved the whole, that entire final battle sequence and him asking for help from God. And even the awesome little wink, like, well, maybe I didn't do it by myself. And then they walk away. And there's like that beach shot. I loved every minute of it.
It's funny because when that came up, the guys said, they got on this part too. When my character says there's a chopper at the top of the hill. Well, in a movie, you can say stuff. You don't have to always see. But if a man says, I left my house this morning really quick and I didn't make the bed, do we have to go back to a cut of the bed all messed up?
Yeah, you gonna watch him tuck that fitted sheet underneath the mattress or something? What do you need?
Apparently, the one guy did, because I go, come on, we got to get out of here. There's a chopper at the top of the hill. There's no chopper in that movie. I did not see a chopper. Come save them. Who's coming to save them? Who are they? What are they doing? I didn't see that. You don't, just like I said, when, Columbo, or not Columbo, it was I can't remember his name. The medical examiner, Quincy. They said he left, and then he got to the scene. He's got his shoes on, but you didn't see that when he left. It's like, did the camera guy or the the studio say, let's go back and shoot a scene of Quincy coming back to get his shoes, because everybody that goes, I didn't see him leave there without his shoes on.
You want to watch them relace them? I mean, what do you need from Lost Faith? You need them to be picked up in the helicopter with a slow sweeping shot over the bay with the Jurassic Park theme playing. Get over it.
And I told him, guys, if I had a $1 million budget, maybe I would have had
I'd like to think you would have spent it more responsibly, Joel. Well, do we need the helicopter at the end? Yeah. I feel like that's true no matter how much money you have, you know.
Let's see.
I mean, and it's also the calming down part of the movie. It goes from the fight. I think I run away to call them, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think we end up at the beach, and Donna's there, and I come out to her, and I go, there's a chopper at the top. We got to be on it, and then you caught that. See, you caught it. You obviously watched it. I'm hugging her, and I look up. I tell her, I go, yeah, I did it all by myself, and then I look up at the sky. And then I look back down and I go, well, I had a little help. And obviously you caught it. Those guys wouldn't have caught it. Because
dude, I love when you walk away and there's like that like 80s perfect like neon sunset on the beach scene. And it reminds me of the end of the Jaws video game for NES when you finally beat Jaws and the plane flies off into the distance and there's like that perfect ocean sunset,
Well, when you take that last wide shot of Richard Dreyfuss and Roy Scheider coming up on the things, then the very, very wide shot of the ocean, you kind of get that same kind of thing going on. I had a different ending to Lost Faith, and I shot the whole thing, and I go, no, it's just better to end it on the beach, because it was going to be like a week later. He's back in church. The whole gang came back. In fact, it's on that Vinegar Syndrome thing. Yeah. You'll see the other ending. But I thought the best way to cut it was just on the beach. But the whole
agree,
thing is,
dude. I mean,
some people like it, some people don't.
If you do the week later thing, it almost always feels like you're setting it up for a sequel, which isn't bad, But it's like I feel like this ends in that perfect self-contained place where you're like, damn, that was a hell of a watch, and you can just walk away from it without feeling like there was anything left undone.
I can see it. I could see it as an after credit stinger if you're going by modern stuff, but the way I looked at it, and you might totally disagree with the way I had taken the movie, but when I grew up, my father had been very involved in martial arts and all of that, so I got to see all of the 70s and early 80s martial arts films with all the different people. My father trained under this guy. I can't think of his name. It's like something Wren. I can't think of the last name. But he had recommended all these movies and stuff. So I got to see a lot of that. And I got a very 70s martial arts film vibe out of this. The only thing that I didn't get would be the soundtrack doing the waka waka thing there, which I would have loved to hear.
The porno funk?
But you get that.
What part? Because I honestly don't know what part you're talking about. What did the music sound like?
Oh no, he was saying the only thing it was missing to give it that 70s martial art feeling.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Like that type of like But it had everything about those types of movies that made them fun, which you've got your simple plot, the kidnapped women in that in the sex ring or whatever there. You even have, of course, the final battle where the bad guy is at first winning, but then something happens that inspires the hero to get up and come back, which is a classic thing. If you watch any martial arts film, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're 40 minutes into this, but we probably should outline the plot just briefly, which is basically that this dude, Steve's wife, has been kidnapped. There's some bumbling detectives that later turn into, at least one of them turns out to be in on the take, that are not really helping him anywhere with the investigation. It ends up turning out that like this strip mall karate instructor guy has like this friggin' awesome like human trafficking thing going on this island where he's actually surprisingly polite to the captives, compared to other like really greasier exploitation movies that have done similar things. The dude's not that bad, I guess. I'd probably rather be his captive than a lot of people who see it in other movies.
If you behave for him, he said that basically. He said, he doesn't say this. Now I'm making a joke of my own movie, but he's like, if you girls behave for me, I will give you Cocoa Krispies for breakfast before you are sold in the lucrative market of white slavery. Cocoa Krispies are very, very good for you.
Yeah, he's the only sex trafficker in these types of movies that I've ever heard sound like
Well,
kind of a really stern camp counselor, which I think is pretty
see,
awesome.
and you see, Tim, I mean, as you were saying, though, I mean, if you go from that vibe, this is why I didn't have any problems with the movie whatsoever, because I looked at it from an 70s and 80s martial arts movie vibe. I don't know if they were expecting something recent with like Hero. I mean, that's not recent anymore. Boy, I feel old now. Like Hero or something like that. I mean, that's not what at least that's not what I thought it was. If it was, then I totally am off base. But the bad guy not wanting guns. First off, you gave a good end story reason because he had a bad accent with a gun. But also, if you've got a badass martial arts villain, one of the things that he says, like, we don't need guns. We're too tough. We don't need any of that stuff.
Well, yeah, it makes perfect sense because he's trained everybody in the arts, so they don't really need guns. And having guns in that situation probably legitimately is dangerous. You're just basically keeping these women hostage until you can sell them off to the highest bidder or whatever. It sounded like they had a hookup that they were just offloading these women to, so they didn't really need to worry about the auction element of it. But yeah, man, I mean, the guns thing was cool. There's a lot of people, I think, too, with like modern politics and stuff, there's a lot of people and, the aversion to religion. There's probably people that would rip on this for that kind of stuff as well. Like, oh, it's anti-gun and pro-religion. And it's like, just get over it, dude. Yeah. Throw it in. Do what Joel says at the beginning of it. Grab a beer or two and just have a good time.
Yeah. I mean, don't try to decipher it too much. And a lot of it, that's what it was. And Brandon, what you said is right, because I grew up with the Bruce Lee movies. And of course, and right before Lost Faith, I had no interest in karate at all until my nephew said, come see this guy in this movie. And I go, nah, I don't care about, karate. He goes, no, you'll really like this guy. It's really good. And I went, and that was Good Guys Wear Black with Chuck Norris. And then I became a fan. And then I took martial arts. Then I took kickboxing, Taekwondo, received my black belt, got my second degree black belt, was going to other schools, fighting other guys in the ring. And so that's what all inspired me to have the knowledge of martial arts after I saw Chuck Norris and Good Guys Wear Black. And then me taking up martial arts. And then I think at that time, I don't know. Yeah, well, of course, I hadn't done any movies. I think just Super 8 stuff, but that's another way in martial arts, you're supposed to give back, and that's not including going out kicking the shit out of somebody so you can steal their welfare check. It's supposed to be, you give back to the community by teaching. You can put it in a movie. You can put it in a video, a song, help people for self-defense. And I got into it with a guy on set. I didn't say shit to him about his martial arts, except I was trying to pick up some moves from him because he had some other form. But when I did mine, he said, what is that? Is that bullshit or is that? I go, no, it's Taekwondo. He goes, go fuck you. Suck my balls, bitch. And I go,
and that's a weird thing that still exists, man.
I go, what's your problem, man? He goes, fuck you. You can get Taekwondo. You can get your belt through mail-in order. I go, I didn't get and I was getting mad, but I said, just calm down. Don't be an asshole. So I just said, I got my belt from my instructor, Richard Wingate. I didn't have to go through. Anyway, and then he walked away, but it bothered me all day. And 3 times I went to him until finally, and I was nice. I said, I just don't understand why you want to get on me about what my martial arts is. I didn't say anything about yours. Why is yours so much better than mine? And then he just got really, really shitty, and he got right in my face, and he's like, you suck my balls on the mat, motherfucker, on the mat.
What was his discipline though?
Yeah, there was none, because my wife said, you should have said this. And I said, I wish I could have thought of that. Cause he went into a rant. He was like, fuck you, fuck all of you. I've been shot 13 times, fucking stabbed in the face
Was
with
he
a knife.
Tupac? What is going on?
And yeah, and my wife said, you should have calmly looked at him and said, oh, people must not like you then.
What a dork. This guy sounds like a massive dork.
We're squared off, and he goes, on the mat, motherfucker, on the mat. And I just crossed my arms and I go, make your move, man. And he backed down. He walked away. Now, I'm not saying I would have beat him.
See, this might, to the
gonna
uninitiated listening to this, might sound like Joel talking shit. But if you watch Lost Faith, this dude has moves, okay? And a lot of them feel like very practical moves you would use in self-defense situations if you knew that style of martial arts. Now, we all have the benefit of knowing in modern times that any of these mixed martial arts guys would floor all of us, you know.
I say that all. I tell my wife, I go, yeah, I know martial arts, baby. I can protect you. One of these guys that's an MMA fighter, first of all, I don't have the endurance to go as long as they can. But you know what? They're training in fighting like I'm acting and making movies. I don't spend the time. I tell my wife all the time, I get into it with some guy, I'm going to rip his throat out because I can't go.
Yeah, you just roadhouse that ass. That's
my endurance is not there. My instructor taught me that. He goes, please don't ever do that. And to take the eyes right in from behind the eye. And he goes, don't ever do it. Because one of his students, I can't remember. I think he just went in and eagle clawed and just tore their throat out. And then that was like, Richard was like, I don't ever want to teach that again because one of my students killed somebody.
But in reality, dude, for self-defense in a real street fight, endurance isn't really most of the time an issue. Someone's gonna be knocked out within like 90 seconds a lot of the
anything
time
goes
in a street
really
fight, you know.
Well, a lot of them, there's a guy here, and I don't even know what happened if he got away with it. They were coming out of some concert, and he got into it with another guy, and the guy punched him in the face, and it killed him.
It can happen. It's definitely, you know, any type of physical altercation, you know, just as a disclaimer, you guys should all be very aware that there can be very real consequences. Even before I ever had my first fight in life, I remember my dad telling me a story about these kids throwing rocks at kids getting off the bus when he was little. And they accidentally hit this kid like right in the right part of his skull, and it like killed him instantly.
Wow.
You know, and they were just little kids chucking rocks at the school bus, kind of like just to mess with like their friends and classmates that were getting off the bus, you know. So the human body is surprisingly resilient, but you hit it in the right place, we just kind of shut off. We're like crash dummies in that sense, you know, like we just come apart like the toys if you punch the other thing button.
I don't presume to be anything that I'm not, because when you're saying about, you know, Joel could say it's easy for him to say whatever, but if you've seen him do this, now if I know if I was in a more than a couple times, like one guy I remember in Pensacola when I said I was going to do the Gulf Coast Tough Man competition for kickboxing, and the guy pretty much had the same semblance of Bruce Lee. I don't want someone to go like, that's very racist. But if you look like somebody, if you look like Batman, you look like Batman. You look like Bruce Lee, you look like Bruce Lee. That's not racist. So he was Laotian. And he said he was going to fight too. And I said, oh, show me what you can do. Now, what I meant was stand up, throw a couple kicks. But they were attacked. He had basically attacked me. He threw a roundhouse.
Oh, dude was living that life then, it sounds like.
And at the last second, well, I think he was like, let me put the white man down because he's taking attention away from my little brother and little sister. So I went right to a block, and in my head, I'm going, is he for real doing this to me? So I blocked, and then he threw a reverse kick from the other leg, and I blocked that. And I go, damn, he's really trying to hurt me. And then I think that's when he came in for a headlock, and he was choking me out, and I was trying to remain calm. And I remember saying to him, and like slavers coming out of my mouth, I'm like, well, if somebody did this, I would judo throw him to the ground by taking my foot and kicking it out under their heel and taking them down to the ground. So he tried to do it to me. And that's when I said, okay, this guy's really, really trying to hurt me. And then that's when I threw the kick, a judo kick, came back from behind him, took him to the floor, eagle clawed him around the throat, almost like Karate Kid going, live or die, man. I didn't do that. I
love every moment of this.
I latched right around his, what do you call that thing right there?
The larynx or whatever?
Yeah, grabbed it right there. And I put my fist back. I said, are we done? And he goes, yeah, man, you're stronger than me. I go, dude, it's nothing to do with being stronger. It's how you agile, move your body, know what to do when you're under attack. So for those events, but fighting long term, I would start to wear out. And the little guy, and then in Crack Baby Billionaire, the guy I fought was an MMA fighter, a mixed martial artist.
Oh, those guys would smoke all of us. I mean, I know a little bit of boxing, but when you can take someone down with jujitsu and hold him there and ground and pound him, I can't do anything.
Well, that's the funny thing. I was worried about that. And when he tried to get me, he got me in one of those moves and he pinned me. But me at my age, see, my head goes into death mode. Okay, I'm embarrassed for one thing. I'm getting beat and I don't want to be killed. So at my age, and this is probably maybe 10 years ago now, I flipped up with all my body motion that I could do and my legs hooked around his head. And I pulled my legs down and I just bashed him into the ground. And the same thing, I just did that. And he goes, cut. No, we're done. Sometimes it's like when you're losing, it's like, okay, stop. I don't want to do this anymore. But if you're winning, you're like, yeah, I'm a badass. And I don't want to fight nobody, man. You can back me up against the wall and I won't fight. But don't push me. Don't push me there.
I know a little bit of a decent amount of boxing. I never took martial arts, but I guess you could say boxing is a martial art in its own way. But I learned how to box as a lad, and that's done me a service, but you could definitely kick my ass, Joel. I can't roundhouse my way out of a pair of sweatpants, dude. I trip almost every night when I get home from work.
Well, your kickboxing was, besides Taekwondo, and then I took some Yoshikai and some Tang Sudo, just because I'm a Chuck Norris fan. But kickboxing, you're still boxing, so I still had to, when I did Crack Baby, and 8 was like, I go, 8, first of all, man, slow down because you're doing it totally wrong. I said, any boxer can do anything they want, especially if they're a real badass. They can just stand there like this and go, come get me, motherfucker. But the boxer, your stance is like this, and you keep it close to your face because if they hit you, it only goes that far. The old days was the 40s used to be like that. You'd be like that fighting in the 40s. Come on. That's how they did it. But up to date, you keep this close because if you hold it here and he hits your glove, you punch yourself. So it only has to go there. And then your elbows should always be in, not necessarily like that, but you're protecting your rib cage. So and
you got to swing into those. And I mean, that's the thing. Like, we could box probably a few rounds, but as soon as he hit me with one of those fucking kicks to the ribs, I'm gonna have to shit my pants.
There's a guy at the fair, and he was all dressed up in like Knights of the Armor, and it was cool because they had a big ring around it. And I'm always like, I wish there was something I could do at a fair, and I'll see a fight scenario, and I'll go, I'll give you $20 to go in the ring. So the guy's like, yes, you will be the opponent. And if I strike you with my sword, I will strike you down, but you must fight for me or whatever. And I go, I'll do, and my kids are with me. So I said, this is time for dad gets to get in the ring. So I paid the guy the money and I go in, I go, can I use martial arts kicks? Or I think I said, can I use kicks? And he's like, don't kick me. Well, we got in there and I beat the guy, knocked him down. And he's got all the armor and the sword, and I was blocking the sword and not punching because it's not supposed to be a real fight, but I could strike at him and avoid his sword, and finally I knocked him to the ground. He goes, "Oh, the knight gives up," and my kids thought that my dad beat his ass. And then I remember my son Jimmy. There's a police officer standing right next to mine, and Jimmy goes, "My dad got in the ring and fought that guy and beat him," and the cop was not paying attention. So I told Jimmy, I go, "Son, he doesn't care." But it was just fun to be able to do that, in front of my kids and win and come out. Thank you.
That's my brother, badass, actually.
My brother wrestled a bear once. Wally.
There was. Do you know there's a band called "I Wrestled a Bear Once"?
Is there really?
That's the name of the band.
They got the idea from my brother. My brother did it back in '68. The bear had a muzzle on him. And he's in a ring, and they just said, anybody want to wrestle this bear?
Dude, that's a thing that used to happen, boys. Yeah. I don't know if you're aware of this. You could just wrestle a bear recreationally sometimes, or you get the shit punched out of you by a kangaroo. It was that would happen.
So and the kangaroo. So the bear had a muzzle on him, and my brother Wally got up in the ring, and he's got pictures of it. He's actually wrestling that bear. He says, "Yeah, kick the shit out of me," but I lasted a little while. So.
I don't know why. I wish I had more time, but I had to do some stuff My wife always comes first and things, so sometimes I get delayed in where I was coming on. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to come on with like the nunchucks, basically dressed like you were in Craiglon 3 for watching. I was like, I am prepared for this.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to get that because that was the kind of mindset I was in when I watched this movie. Because I thought about that. I actually replayed that scene because I thought it was hilarious when you did it. Then
So I wish that I thought of that. This was definitely not a bubbing up situation because I'm looking at a pair of nunchucks and I didn't even think about bringing them on.
Yeah, I have an old pair that actually were used by my father back in the day.
I've never used these properly, but I definitely threatened the fucking dude that was like getting crazy in our front driveway once with them, and I was like, I don't know how to use these like BruceLee style. I'll break your fucking head open with them, you know.
I don't pretend on that. You'll break your own head open if you're not trained.
Yeah, my nephew was doing them. You know, we're just kind of out in our front yard. This is when I was younger. I think I was 17, and he's whipping the nunchucks around. And I can't remember how I think I was whipping around and he went to grab him and I thought, oh, I don't want him to get hurt. So I yanked the nunchuck back.
Yeah,
and a lot of people go, how'd you bring your nunchucks? No, they're not nunchucks. They're nunchucks.
Yeah, I literally just said it that way too. So I apologize, Joel.
No, that's fine. I yanked it back and the chuck hit me straight in the head. And I told my nephew, I go get me a big towel. He goes, no, you're fine. He goes, I'll be right back. And it was just gushing out.
Oh,
it put a split in my forehead right here. And I went in. My sister was there. I go, don't let mom see this. She's going to freak out. And my sister Sherry goes, Mom, don't freak out. And my mom turns around. She goes, oh, my Lord. And the blood's pouring down. And it's a big, big gap. And but yeah, no stitches, sealed it up, held it there.
It's easy to split that skin right there on the front of your skull, and it bleeds something fierce. That's why wrestlers blade that shit when they're pro wrestlers, is because it bleeds good and looks cool, you know.
Yeah, but I watched a lot of that wrestling. That's another thing. I wouldn't mess with the wrestler.
Because those guys will put us through the paces. You might be able to punch harder than they can, but they can take more punishment.
Not even that. You look at it and go, oh, wrestling's all fake. Well, we watch all those shows where all those guys are talking on their airplane and they're talking. They're like, I wanted to kill that motherfucker. And I'm like, oh, shit. They really, a lot of them would walk away and go, hey, Joe, good wrestle. Yeah, buddy. And they look like enemies. But then they're one. Some of them got into so much with guns and gangs and the mob. And they were like, I'm going to get in that ring. I'm going to fucking kill that guy. I fucking hate that motherfucker. And when he would get in the ring, he'd beat the shit out of him. One guy came backstage. He pulled a gun out and shot the other guy.
Oh, yeah, the 70s and the 80s, it was like the Wild West.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Fans would whip D batteries at you. As you're walking into the ring.
Yeah,
throwing D batteries.
Yeah.
Padlocks and shit.
I'm just putting on a fake show, and these guys hate me. They're throwing shit at me. And he goes, this is an act. But the fighting wasn't. Those guys jumped up. And then some of the things were they'd miss, hit the mat, and the guy would react. But a lot of them, they got him in a headlock. They're hitting him in the head. One of them, the King Messiah or whoever he was like, and then that's when they blew the fucking ring up, and they fell off they had a balcony built above, and they would fight, and the one guy fell off.
Like scaffold matches. And
stuff. Yes. And I said, no. I said, I would go to their defense anytime saying, oh, you think that's fake? Get in the fucking ring with them. I'll show you how fake it is.
Jump off a Hell in a Cell and then tell me that it's fake.
You can't fake those landings.
Yeah.
Dude, this movie definitely doesn't have any pro wrestling in it, but I feel like if it had gotten sequels, there would have been an inevitable moment where you had to like fight a pro wrestler, like sort of like the Thunder Lips part in Rocky 3.
Yeah. We think it's the same.
That would have been so badass, dude. Another thing I really identified with in this movie was your hairline, because we have the same hairline. And I'm studying like your hairline now and realizing I'm probably going to be pretty okay. My uncles and people before me have balded pretty bad, but they didn't have that same hairline, so I don't know, man. I think that this movie is pretty perfectly paced. I think that, the way it's all sort of segmented too makes it very much lend itself to that Saturday morning cartoons, like NES video game style, like vibe that I got from it. Because for me, it was pretty much the perfect like middle ground between those 80s action movies and then like the, Saturday morning cartoon video game vibe of like Double Dragon and things like that.
Well, those guys did say that. They go, one cool thing about this is, because they kind of argued about it. He goes, you can make a video game out of this because he's got to fight the cop, then he's got to fight another martial arts guy, then another.
And then there's a car chase level.
The master. Yeah.
I mean, legitimately, you could have one of those retro homebrew guys make an NES game out of this, and it would kick ass. I mean, it's you pretty much you go into the thing, you do like a point and click detective thing to figure out like who maybe has taken your girlfriend, and then you go through the car chase scene or the first like beat 'em up scene with the gang that accosts him on like that freeway median or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And then you go into the car chase scene, and then you go into the next fight scene, a couple of mini bosses, and then you get to the big jungle sequence where you've got to sort of make your way through the jungle while fighting enemies Bayou Billy style or something. And then you get to the end.
That song never got to get heard, but because you said jungle, I'll do that part. Lost in the jungle, back against the wall. Weapons surround me, but the bad guys will fall. Just another hero, just another day, just another hero.
Where the hell's that song at, Joel? Dude, I need it.
I did it at Trax Recording, and just waving the light. Just now, my voice is breaking. And I gotta have a beer to when I want to lay down, singing like honesty.
I thought that was pretty fantastic for being off the cuff, though.
Well, that I tried to record it, and he's in his studio, and I'm at the microphone, and I'm going, just another hero, and I look at him, and he's doing this. The guy in the booth is doing this.
He didn't know what was up, man.
Watching him do that, and I finally quit, and I go, what's the matter? And he goes, you can't do this song. You can't match my music. Because he'd have the music going, I would sing to it in the studio, and then he would add tracks on his piano or whatever it was in there that he's hitting the keys. And so I don't even know if we made that because he was so disappointed in me. Oh, we got the other one, she's a photogenic woman, a cover girl, you see. She's my only lady, she's loving only me. We'll always be together, it's destiny, you see. And no one's gonna take her away from me. We got that one. That's in the movie, thanks. But yeah, the other one, I liked it too. Just another hero, just another day. It just. I
feel like nowadays we have the technology to make this a reality.
Yeah, I want to go back in the studio. It'd be fun.
We need to do it.
Here's the track from 40 years ago.
If you still have the sheet music or something, well, I don't know if Dan can read sheet music, but I'm pretty sure him and Dan could poke through it with the River City Rebels put back together now. Especially they got a horn section, I think.
You know what it was? I just sang the thing, and then he put the notes and everything to like. I would go, just another hero, just because he said, sing the song into a tape, give me the tape. Then he made up the music behind me. Then he played that music, and then I sang to it, and then he added in the extra keys. So there really weren't no notes down, but that's how we, that's how we did it then. I sang it, and then he made notes to meet my music.
Do you still know all the lyrics, bro?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we can make a final version of that with some of our friends.
And it all goes. It all goes with the movie, It's like I can't remember the beginning, but I remember, lost in the jungle, back against the wall. The bad guys surround me, or the weapons surround me, but the bad guys will fall. The master's in charge; he's first on my list. The faith is back, and one blazing fist.
Yes.
Hell yeah,
dude! I love this so much. This has been this is another one of my favorite episodes. Honestly, this is right there with the Evan Jacobs one of being. This Evan Jacobs and Alex Leva, I think, are our holy trinity of videos right now. Dude,
photogenic
the jungle sequence when you swung across that chasm on that vine.
Took both the guys out.
It was like an out-of-body experience.
when we were doing that, we went out into those woods. We didn't know we were going to get. It was just off of Midway Road. And 2 weeks after that, that whole thing was cleared to put buildings up. When I was always, and every time I did something, somebody came in 2 weeks later and cleared. I was like, did I do this? But when we went in there, it was all a wooded area, and I saw that vine, and I go, I'm going to use this like Spider-Man. And one of my camera guys, at one point, I was busy talking, and the guy's like, Joel, look at me. And I look up. He's like 30 feet in the air, hanging from the. I go, get down, because all I'm thinking about is being sued if he falls and kills himself. So he's like Tarzan, way up in the tree. He's one of the guys I kicked in the face. So he got down, and then we worked the whole thing out. And in the bloopers, you see one guy get up and he goes, "You kicked me in the balls." I go, "I kicked you in the balls?" And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "I'm sorry." But I'm swinging across, trying to keep my feet up. Well, you've seen it, and then kicking them guys down was for real. And sweeping that guy, because I was a lot faster then. I think I land, or the guy came up or something, but I dropped to my feet and I sweeped him. That was all real. I just did it. I told the guy.
I don't know. It was a blur of olive-colored fury when you fucking ended up on the other side of that thing. Shouts out to Blaze Tudor over there, our dude from Killable Productions. Cody, Spawn of Cody. He's the dude right there. He's doing some really great short films. He's also a fan of your stuff.
Oh, Blaze,
young
all right.
up-and-comer, man. Like 16 years old.
He was the meanie victim. Cody points out, he goes, you can't, what? How did you say it, Cody? You can't have a meanie without a meanie victim or something like that.
Something like that.
It's true.
Thank you, Blaze. Good job.
Man, I just love the whole final act of this movie, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not too familiar with how to use those film terms yet, because I mostly just reviewed like beer and popcorn, midnight movie style stuff my whole life. So I don't know the whole first act, third act thing. This movie seems to be broken up into video game levels, which helps a lot. And the runtime, it's just perfectly used. And I think that maybe comes from the fact that you guys went back to this. It wasn't something you just shot over a weekend and kind of cranked out there. It was something that you put some passion into. You went at it several times. You came back to it like a year later doing reshoots and stuff like that. You fine-tuned this thing into the ass-kicking animal that it is today.
Well, 1988, we started it. 1989, I think it was, we were still shooting. And it was at the end of 88, 89, still shooting. Then I went right in the middle of it, found out my wife was seeing somebody else. So went through a bad divorce. Got my car up to 95. My car's not even made to go that fast. The guy told me, he goes, "There's no way you got this Pontiac Le Mans up to 95 miles an hour." He goes, and I told him, I go, "Yeah, I did. I got it up to 95, and I had my hand on the wheel, and I was about to spin the wheel and flip it and kill myself." And that's another thing. I heard the voice of God just say, "This is not worth it. Take your foot off the
he spun
gas."
it to the left, and he went off a gigantic kick-ass jump. And by the time he landed, Lost Faith was conceived.
Yeah. Took my foot off. No, Lost Faith had already started. Took my foot off the gas and let it run.
My story was pretty good though.
Yeah, I like in Blues Brothers when they shoot off the drawbridge. But took my foot off the gas, and the car dropped from 95 down to 45. I went to my mom's. I was a total mess over the divorce. Called my buddy Steve and told him, I said, "I can't work on this movie. My wife's having a divorce." And he was like, "Oh shit." And Tim Ritter was like, "Oh my God, I thought you guys would be together forever." And so it took me probably a year, just my whole life falling apart. I stayed with my mom. I didn't go back to my apartment. I paid all my mom's bills. She had like an air conditioner bill. It was like $1,800. I go, "Just take my check. I don't care about anything." So I would come home with these big checks from Crystal Water, and I just give them to my mom. I go, "Just, you can have this. I don't care about anything."
Crystal Water sounds familiar. Those guys used to drive around and like try to hawk you water bottles that you'd keep in your house back in the day. And then
the guys that did that, I would confront them all the time, because when I was working there, the guy goes, "Why aren't you taking those bottles?" I go, "Because they're not Crystal Water bottles." "It doesn't matter. They're bottles or bottles." I go, "They're Zephyr Hills bottles. I'm not allowed to take Zephyr Hills bottles." "Take them bottles." I go, "Hey man, don't tell me what to do."
They used to come, and that's how we first got the 5-gallon water.
Yep.
That's I had a little experience.
I got in a big argument with the guy. The guy came into a medical building next door to his store, and he's not supposed to be. I was allowed in there with all the nurses and stuff. He wasn't. This is a medical building, man. This is like the hospital type. And he just came in, pushed past the girls, and he goes, "Hey, are you going to come over here and take these bottles?" And I go, "No, I'm not. And you're not supposed to be in here. So get out of here."
Yeah, get the F out of here, dude.
My boss would always back me up. He goes, "I'm going to report you." I go, "Fine, you do that. My name's Joel D. Wynkoop, Wynkoop. Make sure you get it right." And then I told my boss, and my boss went there, and then my boss got into it with him because he started yelling at him, and my boss said the guy jumped over the counter to come after him, and my boss went off on him, and he goes, Well, what is your problem? My guy knows not to take those bottles. We're not allowed. Don't come at me like that. He goes, we'll have the cops here. That
surprisingly pushy about their sales tactics, and
he came into
I don't think we even really wanted one. My mom, I think, just kind of like just bowed down after a while. But life-changing thing nowadays, I can't drink tap water. It's because we have the water filtration system too that we just refill it ourselves. So it's so good.
Well, that same guy, as long as he got me there, that same guy came into the restaurant. Steve Senenko and I would always go have breakfast right before we took our trucks out of the road at this little place. And it was kind of next to his place. And he came in and made a smart-ass remark to me walking by the counter. He goes, you still, see, how did he say this? He said, are you still policing water bottles? And I go, yeah. Are you still receiving stolen merchandise? He didn't like that.
Dude clearly hadn't seen Lost Faith. Okay, he's lucky he didn't get a fucking Jesus Field roundhouse up against his dome piece. In the name of the Lord, just crack that sumbitch. I love this movie though, man. The whole final sequence leading up to your final battle, like I said, I've already sung the praises of that, but there are several smaller moments leading up to that, like the stealing of the badass car. Unfortunately, I'm not a car person, so I don't know what kind of car that was, but I know a badass car when I see one, being a child of the 80s and whatnot. So
along with the car roll on the hood.
Yeah, those guys, they tore that apart. But even one of my first music guys, the guy that did Killing Spree, he even told me, he goes, that stupid little, actually, the way he said it was, and you could say this in the 80s, he said, your stupid gay little roll over the hood of the car. And I'm thinking, God, is it that horrible? My envisionment of it was he runs like Robin used to run over the hood of the Batmobile. That's what I was trying to incorporate. But I rolled over it.
You word it, you know?
Yeah, land on the ground, open the door, and they were like, he should have just calmly walked around the hood of the car, excused himself, got in the car. It's like everything I tried to do for humor, they hated. So,
and that sucks, man. And I think that's a symptom in a lot of see, the thing is, we talked a bit about the pacing of this movie and how well put together it is and how much time went into it. And I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that back then in the early 90s, releasing your final movie, because you knew it was probably going to get fucked with by other people that distributed it. And I mean, it's, at the end of the day, you're going to have the movie screwed with to a point. So releasing the movie in as finished form as possible was something I feel like a lot more filmmakers did back then. Yeah. Releasing a crappy movie out of laziness is a luxury that we have as modern filmmakers, because it's going to get distributed by somebody or another. We're not going to list names. It's going to end up on streaming sites. For all intents and purposes, nobody really cares nowadays. And maybe nobody really cared back then, but the people making the movies cared.
Yeah.
You clearly cared about this movie. It's something that you kept alive through hard times in your life. It's something that you came back to and made a point to finish and get out there so that dudes like us could watch it. And that really does mean a lot, dude. It's I love this thing. I mean, it's something that's going to be in my regular rotation of movies. It was my first experience with you. I guess technically my first experience with you and Tim would be Killing Spree, which I loved that movie when I saw it back in the day, but it was just kind of one of those random indie movies that I saw where it was like, that was amazing. But then I got sucked into other sort of filmmakers, so I never went back around and looked at Killing Spree and was like, oh, it's this Tim Ritter guy and maybe this Joel Wynkoop dude is involved, so I should look into them. So this is new ground for me. It's very exciting. You've got a lot of movies from what I've heard. And I'm looking forward to collecting as many of them as possible. So I guess this is a good point to discuss a little bit of that, because this isn't really available to stream as far as I know, right?
And because Cult Movie Mania, they released it before Vinegar Syndrome. They bought the rights from me for 7 years, I think. And then Cult Movie Mania, they closed it. So Andrew Allen gave me the rights to Lost Faith back and the rights to The Bite back. And but it was still on the streaming services, which I can't remember now, but they gave me the contact. So I wrote the guy and I said, hey, I want to take that off the streaming site. I'm back in control of it. And unless you want to start forwarding your checks to me that you were forwarding to Cult Movie Mania. And he goes, well, it hasn't really done that much money. I suggest you leave it on here and then we'll discuss things later. And it was like, unless I said, you know, I want it back. And even then it probably would have been like, well, you're not going to get it back. And then it would be like, oh, I got to go to court to get this. That's not worth my time. I don't care that much. What are they making? 78 cents. I don't, you know, and maybe more, but it's still on streaming sites. I can't remember. There was 2 or 3 of them. They had lost faith. There was a karate one. And then there was,
that might be true.
Like a cult cinema stream or something. I can't remember, but I remember the guy had it and I saw the download, and Chris Woods had it, but he still has it, but he has it legally because we have a contract. So if you go on Chris Woods's site for a sleaze box, Lost Faith is one of them that's streaming. But then there's that other one that really, they kind of don't have my permission, but I'm like, well, anybody can black market your movies. So, you know, even Truth or Dare, when it got jumped, I put the YouTube clip up and I told Ron Bonk, I go, yeah, it's pretty cool. He goes, no. He goes, Joel, I'm in the process of suing them. If you don't mind, take that down. I go, no problem. I'll take it right down. I didn't know. But they grabbed the movie and then they released it for their own, and you pay your consequences down the line. I won't do that. I'm not going to rip anybody off.
No, I mean, okay, I'll be open. Well, I've been open about the fact that we've played the I'm guessing the extended trailer for it like 5 times on this show. I don't ever ask permission to do trailers because it's an advertisement.
Trailers are for. Yeah, it's an advertisement. Yeah, I know that. If anybody's saying, well, you got to have my permission, well, then you're a dumbass. Because
I've had a couple of people hit me up and be like, yeah, you can't show our shit on there. And it's like, we're not showing the movie, dude.
Yeah.
we're talking about it.
I always find it weird when somebody gets upset that you're playing the trailer of their film in a way of advertising it.
Promoting your movie.
Yeah, you're plugging your movie. A guy, Tales for the Forgotten. A really nice guy. He wanted us to play, well, he paid us to play the trailer at the front of Doomsday Stories.
I cut that trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God, this is our dude.
Yeah. And,
it's all coming together.
He was super nice. We put him on the beginning of Doomsday, and then I said, if you want, I'll put it at the beginning of 187 times the movie. And I'm pretty sure he resent it, and I put it into the timeline of the movie, I think. No, I'm sure I did, because I remember it was twice. It was Doomsday and that. And he's very happy about it, and he knows that's when the movie comes out. Doomsday's, I'm not saying we got millions of copies or even thousands, but more than you would if you just, you can put it on YouTube, but you can't control who's going to watch it on YouTube. And I tell you what, it just looks more impressive when it's in a movie that's in a case that's shrink wrapped and has a nice cover.
Yeah, physical media will
much
always
more
be
impressive
king to us, man.
Yeah.
But there is the logistics and the reality of modern consumer shit when it comes to this. And I that is something I did want to bring up to you, is I wonder if there isn't, because I noticed like it's a little harder to get a hold of your movies as someone trying to wet their feet with it, than it is some of these other guys. And I just wonder if maybe you wouldn't benefit from doing like the Evan Jacobs route, where you have your own Vimeo thing where you can charge a subscription that I assume goes straight to you, that you could allow for people to check out a select 12-pack of your films or something.
They're very fee hungry at Vimeo, though. That's one problem.
Yeah, and I've never looked into that, because usually you get something, whatever it happens to be, you get it, you're streaming, and you're going, okay, I made $25 off that stream. And they're like, well, we get 6. And then our buddies that run the commercials get 4, and they get 3. And those, the upload is 2, and the download is 7, and the mortuary is 8. So you get $1.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, every 4 of those you get yourself a beer or something. I mean, it's better than making nothing off of it. It's a good entry level way to get people into your shit. Because I'll tell you what, back in the day, I collected shit like this in mass, and still do. I've been doing it for like 30 years at this point. But I buy a lot more of it now when I can preview the stuff beforehand. Where it's like, oh, I love this shit. Like I legitimately love this movie. I know I'm going to want to watch it again. I need it in my collection. And then I'm more inclined when I get that to buy copies of it for my friends, like I do with Brandon and Cody here when we do the show, or to just suggest it to a bunch of people enthusiastically enough that they buy a copy.
Well,
So
I mean,
I figure,
I don't know if
Go
it's just Joel's stuff. I mean, he's got a batch of stuff on Tubi.
Yeah,
I feel like a couple of them
that's
you've
right.
recommended I've found on there for sure. There is some of it up there.
I've got eight movies showing on Tubi on one screen, but then I got 4 or 5 other movies that, because I'm not like the main actor, they didn't use me in the credits. So like Mr. Engagement is on Tubi, but you won't see it on my wall where it says Joel D. Wynkoop movies. You'll get about 8 movies, but you won't see Mr. Engagement. I think Strip Club Slasher was there for a while. They just put up Like Animator, which is great. But one thing I don't tell people, because I don't have like a business like Chris Woods has Sleazebox or Sean Donahue's Gator Blade. Yeah. It's out there in your face. Mine is just buy 3 of my movies. I'll give you an executive producer credit. Or if you want to buy one of my movies, I put up my own, things on Facebook. So I make quite a bit.
Roundhouse releasing.
I do my own.
Roundhouse releasing, like Grindhouse releasing, but Roundhouse releasing.
Kick, yeah.
And it's Joel Wynkoop putting out all his movies. I'm behind it.
Roundhouse Kick releasing. Chuck Norris's company is Spinning Back Kick Productions, I believe. I think that's right.
I feel like Roundhouse releasing rolls off the tongue a little bit.
I like no, that was Chuck Norris, but no, see, that's why if somebody wants to, and this is why I don't understand. I used to be in this thing called classmates.com, or it's from your high school. And I said, it'd be cool to have my, high school friends that call you and you get on there and hey man, how you been? Remember that time you borrowed that $10? Well, I fucking want it, motherfucker. And then I got to thinking, I go, the classmate sends me an email, 86 people are looking for you. Yeah, well, get on Facebook. I'm not going to pay classmates email $80 a month to hear from people that could get on Facebook. And I think Facebook is one of the greatest things, not for like, here's an apple I ate for dinner. What they do.
But I like to use that, bro.
Yeah. I like to use it for, what do you call it? Your promotion. So if people want to move, because they'll go, where can I get some of your movies? Dude, I got 110 of them here at my house. All you got to do is say, I want this movie. And then all my distributors, Rambach with Sub Rosa, Darren with Brain Damage, Wild Eye Releasing. I got movies with all of them. And I'm always like, get it from them, get it from me. I prefer you get it from me, because then you're getting it from the guy that made it. If you want it signed, I'll sign it. The distributor ain't going to do that for you. So I make quite a bit like that. And Brandon's been executive producer on, I think, 3 of my movies, and then also Doomsday. Cody's,
I think he was executive producer 3 different times on your latest.
I remember that. I thought it was funny that my name was on the on Doomsday Stories like 3 different times.
Well, I think, I don't know. Did you get movies from me for 187 times? But you also got the movie from Phil.
He forgets what he orders sometimes, or what he backs.
Doomsday,
he probably backed it 3 different times. And
Doomsday Stories had such a long development period that I kept seeing it and was like, oh, I've got to support this film. Every time I saw it, I was like, oh, I got to support this film. So I threw money behind it because, like I say, I like Phil Herman's work and I like your work. So I was like, well, I mean, regardless of what I say about some of them, I always enjoy them overall. Yeah. So that's like Doomsday Stories. I liked all of the shorts 187 times. And the guy that was the cybernetics guy that shot up the president.
Forever, man.
I like those the best out of the group, but still, I mean, there's a lot of projects. And I think that your way of doing it for backing it is a great way. I think if more people did that.
Oh, yeah, dude.
They just feel like you're getting extra bang for your buck.
Well, I don't want to talk to a Sasquatch in your movie over the phone or something. I want to buy the goddamn movies that you put out in the past. Like,
well, that's why I don't do Indigo. Indigos are great because when they first came out, I don't even think it was Indigo. I think it was something else. When we were doing the movie Bane, I was supposed to be the lead actor. I was supposed to play Bane in that. And then I went to Minnesota and Doug got mad at me because he said, you need to come back and meet these new kids I'm bringing. They're a new brand of kids coming up and you need to be here to talk to them. I said, Doug, I'm in Minnesota. I can't fly back from Minnesota to talk to some kids. Well, they had their own rewrite on the script and they changed it. And then I was like, well, your script doesn't really make sense. The main character is supposed to be Bane, and you took it away from the main character. You killed the main character and you went off and made somebody else the star. That doesn't really make sense. So we parted ways. I just said, I no longer do I want to be, unless you do it my way. And that wasn't being a jackass or something. I just said, I know the way this movie's going to sell and it'll be really cool. The way you guys are doing it, you're getting too dramatic and you're getting too story involved. Nobody can leave that stuff to professional television writers that do Winchesters and Supernatural and NYPD and
Blossom.
New York Blues and Blossom. Yeah, hey, it's still better than I can do.
It's pretty good.
But instead of that, just do something that's why I try to make my stuff fast paced. I want to go from you say this, and then you're doing this, and then you're doing this. And I learned that from Tim Ritter. I said, hey, Tim, I got sheriff's department's going to come out here in Creep. I got them all. They'll bring their cars. And Tim goes, I know what you're saying. He goes, that's very cool. But the movie's going like this. Here's the movie of Creep going like that. It keeps going. He goes, if you do that, all of a sudden the movie stops. And then
it becomes a chunk of this in the middle of all of this.
It's very cool, but now you stop the pace. So you want to keep the pace going. And I think I did that with 187 when it had the premiere. The guy was like, how did you cram all that into 27 minutes? You worked out theories in your head about what happened in 1970, back to 2050, back to 1986, back to 2050, back to 1972. And all the timelines are changing. How'd you think that all out? I go, I didn't completely, because you can never figure out, temporal mechanics, as Janeway once said on Voyager. Their way out of it was Chakotay said, explain that again.
I'm liking this dude more every minute. Voyager references. Love it.
How does that happen, Captain Janeway? That this one, and Janeway just goes, I don't know, Chakotay, but I can just say, who can explain time travel? And I'm like, oh, that's an easy way out. Thank you, Gene Roddenberry.
Because it's true. No one's done it yet,
Yeah.
I think, honestly, the pacing, Lost Faith has a very stream of consciousness ass kicker, like maybe you'd watch on a Saturday morning with your dad kind of a vibe, to where if you're trying to break it down and make sense of every single little thing in it too, you're botching it. You should just be watching the movie and having fun. Suspension of disbelief, like we talked about. This isn't goddamn Citizen Kane. It's it's a low budget action flick, and I think it works really well. I'm very much looking forward to checking out your other stuff. I mean, I have watched Septum Sin's reviews of a couple of your films, but it's hard to get a full sense of that from those two. There's also something to be said, as much as I was trying to encourage you to do, like, a Vimeo or get these out there somewhere a little more accessible to people. There is something to be said about you being a consummate cult classic, bro. We're like, I've known of your name for a while, and Creep is one that I wanted to bring up because we talked about this in the group chat. I think I maybe saw Creep at one point back when I was first diving into like focusing on low budget movies. Same thing with Killing Spree. Killing Spree obviously cemented itself in my brain a little bit. I mean, I've never seen someone take a claw hammer through the jaw before, so it's, it's a little hard to forget that shit. But both, in the sense with you and Tim Ritter, it's kind of one of those things where like I was aware of you, but there's so many of these movies, so it's easy to get swept up in all the other dudes and doing all the other stuff. But these guys have kept it a constant thing. Like, even though this is the first time we've covered you on this channel, it's certainly not the first time you've been mentioned on the channel. And these guys are always talking about Wynkoop stuff. And it just, I was definitely getting that FOMO, as the kids call it, that feeling of missing out. And I'm glad that I got to jump into this and get a piece of it, because I'm going to go hard with it, bro. So if you have like, how do we get your movies? What's the best way to get your movies in bulk? Because a lot of people that watch this are B-movie fans. They're going to do like I'm going to try to do, where I'm going to try to buy as many of your movies as possible, as quick as possible, so that I have them on the shelf and I can start working through them.
Well, and that's the other thing about streaming. I'm like, whatever. If you're streaming, I won't know about it because nobody says, "Hey, I'm streaming a Joel Wynkoop movie today. Isn't that cool?" Nobody's gonna do that, so I won't.
We
know.
do it.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Thank you.
All
But
the time, man.
I like and the streaming side. What I have is fine. I don't know if I'd get into it because it's one more thing I have to control, and I'm still trying to do the confidential, the cast and crew confidential. I still have to knock off 4 minutes to get it under 2 hours. And then I got to complete the 187 times the movie. And then I've got a beast mode to finish and an onslaught to start. So it's like, and then my book is hanging because my publisher's like, when are you going to get us some more stuff? And I'm like, I'm doing 3 movies. Let me do these first.
Yeah,
and then
Joel's busy AF.
Yeah.
As the kids say.
I like it when people come to me to get the movie. So that I think a lot of it is, if there was streaming, yeah, they might be streaming it, but I'm not hearing about it. But if I get someone to call me on Facebook and go, "Yo, man, I really liked you on Dirty Cop No Donut. Where can I get a copy?" I'll say, you can get it at all the distributors, or you can get it from me, the guy who made it. And they'll be like, "Oh, dude, how much is it?" And I might be, in United States, usually my stuff's all $20 because I pay shipping. And I add in, it's a pain in the ass to go to the post office. And even though Phil Herman's like, "Buy yourself the post office kit, you have it at your house." I have no room in this office for anything else. I have no room. So I do it old school. You call me up. Or you get me on Facebook. "Hey, man, can I get a copy of Creep?" "Yep, I can get you the Joel Wynkoop Collection Presents Creep." And I have full authorization from Ron because I would never do anything that's like one guy called me and it pissed me off. He goes, he told my partner, he goes, "Joel's a bootlegger." And I go, if I ever see him again, I'm going to kick the shit out of him.
Fuck yeah, and Joel can do it.
I'm not. He told me when we were getting ready to do a movie, he put his fists up and I go, "No, man, you got to do it like this. That's how you." He goes, "You'd so kick the shit out of me." And I go, "I know, but I'm a nice guy, so I won't kick the shit out of you." But
just make him take one rib kick, Joel.
Yeah,
I think that's
to call me that pissed me off because everything I do, I have permission. Bootlegging means you're ripping somebody off.
How the fuck are you bootlegger?
Yeah,
what was his justification for this?
Because he saw some of my movies that I had permission from Ron Bonk to put on my table.
And so you ran off like a home-brewed, like handwritten label version of it, and he took that as bootlegging or something?
Not even that, but Cody's got that because he got my
See, I love that shit. I'm the constant defender of the because these guys like the printed discs, and I get it.
No, it's fine. I like that too. But
I love though when it's like you wrote the label on it and just put it in a thing.
I did a lot like that for Rot. I ran my own copies, but I asked Marcus Cook. Marcus is like, "Joel, that's fine. I wouldn't even have a copy of Rot if it wasn't for me. I had like the last one from Alternative Cinema. And when I was bringing a copy to Nolan Canova, I was telling Marcus, and Marcus goes, "Would you mind bringing me a copy? Because I don't even have a copy of my own movie." And I gave that copy to Marcus, and that's what everything started to run off of. And but Cody even got a copy of When I Was Young, the films of the Super 8 films of Joel D. Wynkoop. I think I hand wrote on that. I tried to print it nicely, Cody. I can't remember.
I think so.
Or I have a home
dirtier
printer.
The better for me. I love that feeling of that. It reminds me of like tape trading back in the day. When you
had the labels and you cross it off and you write in the name.
I can't fucking read this, but I know it's Sepultura beneath the remains on this tape.
But I in other words, I don't do any of that. If I release anything, I have permission. Like I have permission from Marcus, I have permission from Ron Bonk, and Ron Bonk gets a percentage. So it works well for him. It works well for me. That's how I can do the whole Joel Wynkoop collection. I would not do that without his permission. I asked a long time ago with the old covers, and then I got these. Yeah, there it is.
Beautiful.
Yeah, see, it's a printed label with my printer, and then I drew a Super 8 camera on it.
I love it.
So
I love that. I want
and
one.
Then the disc just has handwritten on it. The films, Super 8 films of Joel D.
So
Wynkoop.
I gotta ask, as a lifelong haggler, okay, were I to buy your movies in bulk, is there any type of a break you can give me on that? Like if I bought all 9 of these Joel Wynkoop collections.
I always give a deal, and I think Cody can tell you and Brandon can tell you that a lot of times I try to, when I send out a movie, like let's say Brandon buys Creep, he'll generally get Creep, and I'll grab 2 other DVDs of mine and toss them in there for free. Cody, Cody's bought stuff, and I just toss in a couple extra things for free, whether it's a shrink wrap movie or it's one of my collections of bloopers or something.
I got this one, and you threw this one in for me.
Wait, which one you got right there? Oh, it's all signed up. Never mind.
That was to him. I gave it to Cody, but I think he bought the Joel Wynkoop collection, Lost Faith, but I tossed in the Lost Faith. So I always try and toss in something extra. But if you just came at me and said, I want to get all 9, instead of saying, $20, I would drop it to like, because I got to consider my postage, my running to the mailbox. So yeah, I always do that. If somebody goes, I'm not going to charge them the same as if they get 1. So if they get 10, yeah, I'm going to give them a better deal on
Dude, these guys can vouch. I'm a crazy mofo when it comes to that. So I very well might buy like 30 movies from you at once if you have those available.
Yeah, I did that with Vinegar Syndrome. I even told Vinegar Syndrome, I go, this is kind of steep. I'm buying my own movie. I think I bought something else through them before Vinegar's Lost Faith release. And I go, it's kind of steep. Can you do something for me? And she tossed in, 5 extra Blu-rays for me. And she gave me my sticker here and some other paraphernalia that. And because I asked, and it is a lot to pay for something. I hope when my thing comes from Ron Bonk with the movies, is, Tim, I paid $75. Maybe besides the movie, I'd get, at least Chris Woods has little buttons and shit he includes with his movies. Give me something extra. So I always, whether you want it or not, I try and include it anyway. I'll be like, oh, here's this free stuff for you. And sometimes I forget because people go, you didn't give me the free stuff. And I go, I'm sorry. I'll give it to you next time.
See, we're real good over here about paying it forward. Like we have a whole fucking crate full of movies that are like B-movie extras that we've gotten that we didn't need, but that will be given away in giveaways in the future. Definitely we're, the type of people that will buy more often than not, as much as we can direct from the people like you so that you can get the money as opposed to whoever's putting out the DVD or the Blu-ray or whatever. But then a lot of times, we'll use those easier services to get the Blu-rays sent to people that might need to do discussions with us and stuff. Because we're also big fans of like supporting those guys distributing your stuff. I mean, it's important that that stuff happens.
Yeah. No, me too. I'm with, the Vinegar Syndrome. And like I said, Wild Eye, because I Wild Eye was going to pick up Craigline Incident, but I knew I could make more money myself on it. And why? They would be good with me, I think, and make sure I get money, but not the money I'm making off of the Craigline Incident. And pretty much all my movies that I can control. Now, I sold the rights to like The Bite to Donald Farmer, but I had it put in my contract. I control Nick Hazard. I control the character's likeness because I have no reason to do a sequel, but I put that character in 2 more movies. And, So that's gone, to Donald. He's got the rights. He can do what he wants with it. But those are parts that I save for myself. And my other movies, like Lost Faith, is now with Vinegar Syndrome. But I also had to put in my contract, can I still sell my Cult Movie Mania, my Joel Wynkoop collection? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. So everything I do is on the up and up. But I do appreciate it if people do come to me. Because if they really like the movie, why don't you just buy it from the guy that made the thing? And I'll sign it for you too. I get it out. I think I get it out quicker than anybody. I don't think I know anybody else that gets the order at 9:00 and has it in the mail at 10, and the person's getting it 3 days later. I don't think anybody else is doing that.
That's that discipline, man. That martial arts discipline keeps you like on top of the shit,
No, I want to treat everybody good, and and you can ask Brandon.
We know dudes Cody. That you'll buy the movie from them, then they'll tell you a couple of days later that you got to wait for some other dude to get his copies of it so that he can send them out to you because you really bought something that's part of this weird chain of custody of like some shit that should just be coming from a distributor if it's going to be like that,
But then I'll also wrap myself. Brandon can tell you I have that wrapped in alcohol containers. They were great, man. It's a 6-pack. My wife gets this drink. I forget. It's purple, and it wraps right around the DVs, perfect front and top. It protects them. Then I layer it with like plastic bags. Then I put grocery bags around it because I've had my share. I got my Death of Superman, and it was in this case, and it was really nice. It came completely crushed. The Blu-ray was smashed, and I was screwed because the guy just put it in a little tiny box and shipped it that way. I protect my stuff well. And Vinegar Syndrome, They do too, because theirs comes in a nice
they're like a special
pressurized box. Yeah.
Certain ones do it good, and then certain ones it's like, whoa, bubble mailer.
Yeah,
I'm
not
glad
even
my
bubble
Blu-ray
mailer.
showed up. Okay.
Try getting it from oldies.com. It comes in a little piece of corrugation.
Oh yeah, I don't
fit
fuck
on
with
my
those
finger.
dudes.
Yeah. When I get from oldies.com, I'll get like 20 because then I'll know they'll put them in a box. I won't buy one at a time.
I hit them on those super sales where like everything is 50 cents.
Yeah, me too. What's wrong with that?
I mean, 50 cents, if it's messed up, you can live with that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cody, talk to us. I haven't heard much from Cody.
He just sat there.
He's just
Cody
been
did
sitting there
a good
absorbing. I was just about to say the same thing. I'm sorry,
Cody
man.
did a good job in well, the interviews, you and Joshua, but also in Craiglon incident, and then of course in 187 times the short and the feature. So you guys were awesome in that.
Yeah, I mean, we had a blast doing it each time. It was definitely fun, and of course, not to pat you on the back, but I mean, that's definitely a big check off a box to be in a Joel Wynkoop movie. So
thanks, man.
100% our pleasure for sure. It was a blast, and like what we were talking about before with buying stuff direct from you, like we were talking about before Mo got on, like Brandon and I both spent a couple extra bucks to buy the Vinegar Syndrome from you, just because we knew it was going direct to you. And then what I like to do is kind of my way of saying thank you when I get stuff is, I'll do a post about it, show them what I got and tag the guy that I got it from, just as almost a free advertisement of, hey, I got all this stuff from Joel. Check out this cool stuff I got.
Yeah.
And I mean, hopefully that at least brings some eyes onto it as well.
Absolutely, it does. I love that. In fact, I got a couple new Facebook requests where the guy just said, and I ask people, I go, hey, Sam, I got your friend request. Thanks a lot. How'd you hear me? Because I want to know, and especially like it's the girls. Well, I just thought you want to see my tits for $19. No thanks. Or just somebody else just going, no, I don't know nothing about you. I just thought you might want to be friends. And I'm like, well, if you're not really going to interact with me personally or about the movies, then why be friends if we're never going to talk to each other? But,
how much was that, Joel? $19?
What's that?
Oh, he's doing the math.
Oh, yeah, the girl. But anyway, yeah. So I'll say to them, shit, I completely lost my train of thought. Something about...
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It's me writing them back, but they've...
No, you'll be like, how'd you find out about...
Yeah, and they'll say, and the one guy said, don't know too much, but I'm going to look, I'll look at your page, and I'll go, well, I'm going to accept you. You seem cool. I accept him. The next day he goes, oh, I didn't know you were in Killing Spree. Can I get a copy? And I go, yeah. And I sold him a copy of Killing Spree. So if you put up something, Cody, I just got these from Joel Wynkoop. Then people see it and they go, oh, let me check Joel Wynkoop out. Hey, I want to get those movies. Or they'll ask you. So that's the beauty about Facebook. If you can just get past, plates of food and I'm mad at my boyfriend. He kicked me out of my bed last night.
And I think I think our first conversation was literally, I want to purchase the Craiglon Incident trilogy from you.
Yep. And I've got what when we were saying about the movies too. See, I do Tampa. Well, I try to do any convention I can. Lately, it just seems to be Tampa Bay Screams. But
that was going to be my next question.
A lot of my movies you can't get anymore. Like this one, I called. I think this is Brain Damage from Darren, I think. And he told me, Joel, we're not picking that up. We're not releasing that anymore. When I bought them, I bought like 50 copies from them. This is my last one. If I took this to Tampa Bay Screams and they said, nobody else has got this, I could say, yeah, it's yours for $20 or whatever. Because it's a rarity. You can't get it. The Brain Damage doesn't release it anymore. And the guy that shot it, those rights went to Brain Damage. So when I tried to order more copies, and he's just like, we don't do it anymore. It just didn't do good enough for us. And I would have got more if I knew that. So
see, I'm the type of dude who would rock up to your thing, talk to you about that for 20 minutes, talk you down to $15, hopefully 10. I'd settle for 15 as a bundled deal with a bunch of other stuff.
Well, all my stuff on the table, I try to keep my stuff 10, even though they, inflation, people go, and I don't like it either. It happens. Movies I used to go to a movie for, $1.50, and now it's, $10 to go to a movie. My DVDs, I try to keep right at $10. The only thing like Cody got from me, he got my television show. It's just 4 disc. I sell that for 40. And I think, Cody, I looked, you got the last copy. I don't think I have any more of the other side.
He deserves it.
And I don't think there's anything else that is higher than 10. And though, of course, my Blu-rays, those are mostly 20.
Even 15 I'll accept for DVDs nowadays, because usually someone will bundle them down to 10 if you're gonna get like a bulk order of them. You know,
I won't even do that. I've had people come up when Lily, she was in the bite. I was away from the table, and it was at the Tampa Comic Con. She came up to Kathy and she goes, "Do you have movie The Bite?" And Kathy knew her, and Lily knew Kathy, and Kathy was like, "Well, they're $10. $10. I want to buy 10 of them." And Kathy goes, "Okay, they're $8 a piece." Okay. And then, so I will always do that.
Legit.
But I can't do it where, okay, you get them for $4. And then I'm going, wait a minute, I paid $5 for the disc. I just lost $20, you know? So everything's got to be thought out, but let's be honest.
A lot of people close to us get the homie deal because they're homies, you know, so you might just give them a copy.
Yeah.
But that's not everyone, man. Like, you know, we don't know you. You're just a cool dude.
It's also other people have their jobs at Walmart or Kmart. Kmart's so outdated. Whatever. I don't have I know I left Crystal Water in 2008. So
remember, I got a BB gun at Kmart when I was like 8. Yeah. They didn't even ask for parental permission.
Yep, I worked at Kmart back in the day, so I know all the stories. But that's how I make money. I got my buddies say, "Hey, you want to be in this movie with me?" I go, "Hey, I do. How much can you pay?" "Well, there's no pay." And I go, "Well, where's it going to be shot at?" "Well, up in Alabama." I go, "Oh, well, you'll get my gas money and hotel?" "Well, no." I go, "Dude, come on. You got to give me something." I had one girl say, "Isn't it good enough I got you in my movie?" I go, "No, honey, it's not. I got to travel to the other side of Florida. You want me to sleep in a room with 13 other actors in a warehouse, and then you got potato chips for lunch? No, I need to be paid." And it was funny because then the camera people came back to her and they go, "So we got to talk about our contract, how much we're getting paid." And she goes, I thought you were doing this all for free." And they were like, "Oh my God, are you kidding? We can't do this for free. We need 10 grand to do this movie." And she's like, "Oh, I guess we're not doing the movie anymore." You got to.
The only time I ever do money for nothing and chicks for free is when the Dire Straits are playing.
Ain't got money and your chicks for free. That ain't working.
That shit doesn't
exist.
That's
the way you do it. Your dumb money ain't for nothing and your chicks are free.
What are they saying?
but what you yeah, I know. Your show, your animation is moving furniture and shit. Why is that attractive to chicks? I guess it all relies to the rock stars get the chicks, but they show the animation of the guys moving furniture. But what you said, if somebody,
you know, what's lucky is I'm a mailman, so I'm right there with the milkman of being like the stereotypical dudes that ladies, you know, they show up in porn movies, and then like the ladies are always having affairs with them, and it's kind of true, dude. You'd be surprised how many like middle to older age ladies are like hyped on me as their mailman. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's a good career though. My buddy Lee Pinder, he just retired like, I don't know, like 6 months ago from the postal department. He goes, it's great. He's been there, I think 40 years. So he's got a great pension or whatever they get from that. But back to what you said about the movies, I want people to get them from me. Yeah, get them from my distributor. That's great. But I'd appreciate it if you come to me. And I always look up my name, Joel D. Wynkoop, put it in your Facebook. My page will show up. Send me a friend request. Especially let me know. Don't just send me a friend request because I'll get it out of you. I'll ask. But you could include in that, hey, I seen you in Dirty Cop. Love your movies. Accept me. Because you're more likely going to get an exception to that than... I cut my lawn and I found a piece of paper with your name in a lawnmower scrap, and I don't know why that's here. Did you deliver this in the newspaper? No.
Yeah. Well, honestly, dude, I can submit right now. Here's the last thing I'll say, and I'll let you guys have the floor because they really haven't talked much. You guys got to get in there and dig in there with some questions. Rapid fire those at this dude.
Me and you are shooting machine guns, so we're not giving them a chance.
We vibed pretty good, but I'm definitely going to send you I'm sorry, but not really. We've been having a good time.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna send you a friend request after this, and
Cool.
you know, honestly, I was vetting you out, bro. I didn't know if I'd like you. Right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
You know,
these guys were doing shit beforehand, but I'm not one of those people that just sends friend requests to directors. They always send them to me usually. But I'll send you one after this, because yeah, you seem pretty rad, dude.
Thanks, man. I mean, my thing is, I try and get along with everybody, and I think I help a lot of people, because a lot of actors will come to me and they'll just be like, "Can I be in your movie?" And I go, "Sure." And they'll come out. I'll shoot them live. I'll shoot them like Cody did. Cody and I couldn't get together, and Joshua, but they did their own scene and sent it to me. So I've had a lot of people that said, you know, "I really want to be in one of your movies. What do I got to do? I live in Michigan." I go, "Well, if you want to shoot a scene, send it to me. If it looks good, I'll use it." And they're like, "Oh, thanks a lot, man." And people locally, just at the premiere I went to, and I got to see a friend of mine, Antonia. I've known her for years, from the first television station where I worked at with her. And we were talking. She goes, "Everybody knows you, Joel." And I go, and it was cool because our film liaison office, he came up to me and he goes, "Joel Wynkoop, I'm Tyler." And I go, "Tyler Malkovich, how do you know me? I'm just some dude that makes little dumb movies." And he goes, "Everybody knows about you, man." And this is the film commissioner telling me that everybody knows me. So Antonia turns around at the festival and she says, "So-and-so, this is Joel." He goes, "I know who he is. He's Joel Wynkoop, king of the B movies. He's done almost 200 movies. I follow him on Facebook. I know all about him. I know every movie he's ever done." He goes, "How you doing?" And I go, "Hey, how are you?" So, you know, being stopped in public, we were in Publix one day, and one guy goes, "Mr. Wynkoop." And I turn around, I go, "Yeah, I was in my suit." So he recognized me from the television show. I don't know who this guy is. He's getting milk. I'm getting bread. I don't know who he is. And he goes, "I just wanted to say hello. I'm a big fan of yours." And on the street down in Tampa, I was picking my wife up at Verizon. Same thing. I got out with my suit on. A guy from across the street, "Mr. Wynkoop." And I turn. I don't know this guy. "Hi, I just want to say hi. Would you come meet my wife?" And I'm still like, how does he know me? I'm not thinking about acting and shit. And I go across the street. He goes, "I love your
hairline,
TV
bro.
show." And yeah.
See the hairline at a clip, you're like, "Is it?" And then, you know, he takes off the hat and you're like, shakes out that fucking beautiful mane. And you're like, "It's Joel."
Yeah. But I was with Jason.
I'd recognize that ass in a pair of jeans anywhere.
It's funny. Some girl said that at a video store. She goes, "I tell all the girls, check out the cute ass in Lost Faith." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. I don't know."
It was looking good, bro. I'm not going to lie. I'm jealous. I've been trying to figure out exactly my jean cut lately, because I'm trying to get back into wearing jeans. You know, I've been doing the basketball shorts thing for too long. I think it's making my dick soft, but I'm trying to get back into jeans.
I think mine was, I was in a flight suit, and that girl was like, I put on a sign. I go, "Girls, check out." No, she goes, "Girls, check out the cute tush in Lost Faith on Joel." And she had an arrow pointing to the movie.
You didn't even have a camel toe when you fucking flung yourself across that chasm, man. I mean, most people, when they do those maneuvers in a flight suit, it's not fitted enough that it like looks good. Yeah.
That was because we did that, you know, just to swing. I told Steve, "That's not good enough. We need a shot." And there was a ditch, but it wasn't like a huge ditch. And it was awesome. There. So we shot down to. It
was more of a creek. If we're being honest.
Yeah, but an angle. But still, if you're swinging and released yourself and fell down in there, you'd fuck yourself up. So you need to, you know, get over that.
True.
Thing. But I don't know what we were talking about to lead into that. But
camel toe in the flight suit.
Something before that. I think we were talking.
Camel toe in a flight suit would be a really good album title for a band. Also.
Yeah. But the girl talking about that, I think, was in Lost Faith. But prior to that, I don't know where the hell we were. But Cody, you should say something.
Nice ass and jeans. Talk to us, Cody.
I think being a bunch of movie nerds, I think one of my favorites, which I'm sure would be theirs as well, is when you go into the video store and of course you pick up Twisted Illusions, which was next to Truth or Dare. And then you go over to the Chuck Norris section, like, "I want this one. I want this one too. I want this one too." And then you show up, you got like this big old stack.
I love that.
Twisted Illusions, only in the Vinegar Syndrome version of this, or
that's in Vinegar Syndrome. Yeah, I didn't know.
I didn't have that.
I sent them everything, and I didn't know what they were going to use. I said, just use anything you want. And one of them was that cut where I go to the video store and I find Twisted Illusions, then Truth or Dare. And then I walk to the Chuck Norris section. And I go, one. And I got a big stack coming out of the video store.
It was
Truth
good.
or
I
Dare,
like
is
that.
the one
That's
we've
something.
shared before, Cody, where the logo's like up there and there's like some blood dripping down from it, or it's like a black and white. I feel
That's
like we.
Truth or Dare. Yeah, the razor
yeah.
blade on it.
Okay,
yeah.
so I've seen that one as well.
Yeah.
That I will say one of the things I've enjoyed about the movies that I've seen is that there's always that slight insert. We were talking about this with I want to say with some of the Camp Blood movies, but the idea of inserting some movies from other aspects of the career, but doing so in a playful manner, like, oh, it's the Phil Herman or Joel Wynkoop marathon going on in the background.
In Craigland, yeah.
And I saw something similar, I think, in Horror Tales where somebody was doing that. I also like like I said, that's why I think that video store scene was great. It was great because then you got like you put in that black and white covered VHS right there.
Yeah,
I just I love that there, and
that's another scene where I said I can put that in, and even Steve said it, and I think Tim told me, he goes, "You're slowing your movie down by stopping. I know you want to be funny and you want to relate to Chuck Norris." He goes, but now you took your movies from 100 miles an hour to 10 miles an hour, because now you're going, wow, oh, I think I'll go buy movies for a while. This looks like a good pile, and then you take off again. It's better to say wow than it is to go and keep stopping.
I agree with Tim, but I
moving.
want to see it all the same. Yeah.
It's a fun scene, but it makes a better extra than it does being in the whole movie.
Yeah, when you watch this cut, the movie is like being on speed almost, but the speed is Jesus.
That cut is the original cut. That even has the 360 or the 180 fix I did for Cult Movie Mania, because when I throw the boxer, I throw him to my right, but when you're watching the movie, he comes in from the left. And I didn't even think about that when I was shooting. That's what you call you never do that. You never do that 180 thing, which I hate when people say that, but in this, it made sense. So what I did was I went in, made an edit, cut it correctly. So when I throw him this way, the next scene is he's coming from the same direction. But in your cut, I throw him this way, he comes from this direction. And then in the newer versions, the part where I'm in the police station in your cut, Mo, the cop just says, "I'll get your girlfriend back, blah, blah, blah." But in the new version, it cuts away to him in a Rolodex, flipping through the Rolodex.
No, that happens.
Oh, that is in that one?
Yeah.
Well, that might be a newer one, because he flips through that. And it says Joe's Pizzeria.
Oh, no. Okay, you're right. Because it shows him flipping through the Rolodex while he's talking to you.
Yeah, but I never did the
then
close-up.
It never shows what's in the Rolodex.
Yeah, in the Cult Movie Mania version, it has it. And that's another thing. Those other guys, when they were ripping on Lost Faith, they go, the policeman's not even listening to his story. He's looking at cookies.
Made it funny.
And donuts.
That's the point
and
of it.
strippers and pizza. Yeah, that's what I go, they missed the whole point of the entire thing.
The detective ended up being in on it. So.
And the detective was crooked. It shows he don't give a shit, because he's trying to get pizza and donuts and hookers delivered to the police station. He don't give a shit about Stephen Dakota losing his wife.
I really liked it in the short. Cody, what was the name of the longer short of the two that was on Vinegar Syndrome?
Nakota, the sequel?
Dakota, the sequel.
Yeah, that's right, Nakota. Yeah.
I loved how basically the villain, you discovered where the villain's lair was because he had ordered a pizza as takeout.
Again, that's my humor, because he's talking to the pizza kid, and Nakota says to him, like, where's that pizza going? He goes, oh, down to Little Hollywood, the movie theater. And my character, Nakota's going, that's been closed for 50 years. Why are you going there? Some dudes ordered it. And Nakota goes, are you telling me these Nimrods ordered a pizza? And then that's what the gang, and then I wanted to really push that, so that when the gang leader comes out to talk to him, they go, what are you doing? Where is everybody? And he goes, oh, so-and-so's in the kitchen and so-and-so's in the back. And he goes, we ordered a pizza. And he goes, what is he cooking the pizza? He goes, no, we ordered a pizza. And the gang leader's like, You ordered a pizza, you moron. He goes, what if he comes here and tells the cops we're holding the kid here? And he goes, nah, Weed, you're thinking about it too hard. And then Anthony was playing that character. And I told Kevin Rigo, who's like a professional stunt man. He does a lot of stunts for TV shows and stuff. I told him, I go, this is Anthony. You can punch him, slap him, beat him around, push. And I was doing that to Anthony. And Anthony's like, Joel, take it easy. So I told him, so hit him when he goes, no, we ordered a pizza, boss. And then he's hitting him around. He's on, you Nimrods ordered a pizza. Now they could tell the police where we're at and they'll catch us. And, nah, boss, you thinking too hard. So again, that was my humor. What they would probably argue, well, they would never order a pizza. Well, they're not the brightest bad guys. You know, I always like to make the bad guy leader like the master in Lost Faith. Kevin Rigo was Weed, but the people he had working around him were stupid. So that was Nakota, but that's another thing you get on the Vinegar Syndrome release, which is I think there's a lot of stuff on that thing. You can go through it for 8 hours. I
noticed that a lot of the stuff, basically it combines a lot of the stuff on those 2 editions that I've seen that I used to have of Lost Faith. And I ended up giving, so what I ended up doing is, because it's got the same cuts on it, I ended up giving one, I think I might have given, Mo might have gotten my copy of the one. And then I gave the other copy to a friend of mine that I'm trying to get into those films. Matter of fact, I gave him Doomsday Stories as well, because I was trying to basically, on the channel, I made a big deal of like, hey, take a look at this. And if y'all want any more about this guy, because in my opinion, and I'll say this in a lot of my videos, and I'm sure Cody can back me up if you've seen some of my videos for how I do it. I usually always come to the end if there's a method to get the money or get the films from the director straight out. I prefer that because I want people involved in the movie getting the maximum amount possible. It's because I know that like in those cases, like if you buy it through a distributor, they get a lot of that percentage. Mm-hmm. But you get a lot more of that percentage if you're the one doing it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think they realize that because when they know that already. Well, only one and Chris Woods and we can laugh about it now, but I would buy maybe 20 copies of one of the movies from him that I'm in. Then a show comes up and then Chris would ask me, please don't sell these at the show. And I go, buddy, why did you think I was buying 20 copies? I wasn't going to plaster my wall with them. I buy them so I can sell them. And that kind of annoyed me. And I said, well, that's fine. I won't buy any more movies from you. Cause I didn't buy 20 movies, like I said, to stick them on my wall at home. I buy them so I can resell them. So, and Darren from Brain Damage, he knows that. I bought 50 copies of Demon. He knows I'm not going to put them on my wall. He knows I'm going to sell them. When I bought I bought 100 copies of the Uh-Oh Show. They know I'm going to sell the Uh-Oh Show. That was Media Blasters. They don't think I'm sticking, and they don't say, hey, you can buy 100 from me, but you're not allowed to sell them. And but like I said, that's not putting down Chris. It's just an example of through Chris Woods and I that we worked that out. I just said, well, and then he told me, he goes, well, I didn't want to hurt your feelings. And I go, wait, if I'm buying 20 movies, I'm going to sell them. That should already be a done deal that's what's going to happen with them. So, but it all worked out, but it was just, it put a bad taste in my mouth about that stuff. Because like Sean Donahue's always like, you can buy as many of my movies as you want that you're in and do anything you want with them. Sell them at Tampa Bay Scream, sell them in the mail, sell them to your next door neighbor, whatever you want to do. Once it's yours, it's yours. It's no different than if I buy a copy of Batman Forever online from Johnny Hillbilly, and then I get his movie and I go, oh, I bought this online for $5. I'm going to sell it on eBay for 100. And then I turn around and sell it. John Hillbilly can't come back to me later and goes, hey, I saw you sold that for 100. You bought it from me for $5, so you owe me $95. And, it don't work that way, So I appreciate you when you say, go to Joel, go to Phil, and Phil and I have always partnered up on this. It's buy it from Phil, buy it from me. It doesn't matter to us because Phil and I split everything because we trust each other.
Yeah, I think I bought a stack from him as well after a while. He had forwarded me to the Sleaze Box once, but they said, "Oh, but you could also buy from me," and I'm like, "Okay."
Well, the Sleaze Box doesn't do it anymore. That was
yeah,
one
I
of the
know. I saw
reasons.
that post.
Our price got raised so high. We don't, and that's what started it all. And it's no big deal because me and Chris talk. We don't have any problems. We talked this all out, hashed it out. No more big deal. But he doesn't do any Phil Herman's movies anymore. And mine, I stayed with him, contracted with Wynkoop Tales, Slasher Weekend, Lost Faith, and I think a couple of them. And they all stream, and you can buy the movies from them too. But when it comes down to it, yeah, I prefer the people come to me, and I'll get it to you quicker because some guys, they might Monday, they take orders through the whole week, and then they'll mail all the orders out on Friday. And if they don't get to it, it might be Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Yeah, and it might be 2 weeks before they go out. I will go that day. You get it to me 9 a.m. I'm at the post office at 11.
Yeah, we're waiting 2 months on a pre-order right now that I bought for us to do a review with. So.
Oh yeah, see,
it happens, but I don't know. I don't really have much to add to what you guys are talking about, other than that this lady just now randomly called me. You're not going to be able to see that unless I turn my brightness down. But she called me, wrong number. That's also not the text message. But I'll send you a screen cap of it. But the point is, wrong number, left a heartfelt message asking for this lady named Karen. Didn't know what to say. So, I apologized emphatically that I was not Karen, but I am indeed Mo. And if you have time, you should check out Lost Faith by Joel Wynkoop. Super kick-ass movie. And then I left her the link for
That's awesome.
The trailer there. So.
That's cool. You're a lot nicer to the telemarketers of the wrong calls I'll get because I'll pick up the phone. Hello, is this Joel Wynkoop? And I already know it's some scam. They want to buy the house or they want to sell me car insurance. I already know it's there. And I go, yeah, who's this? This is Judy from blah, blah. We called up and then I'll confirm it. We called to see if you want to sell your house. And I'll go, Judy, I'm so sorry. I'm naked. I got out of the shower. I cleaned up. I got deodorant on. I brushed my teeth. I did mouthwash. You and I are going to have incredible sex. I'm going to pound you like there's no tomorrow. Now, where do I pick you up again? Oh, my God. Click. I get rid of them.
See, this was clearly somebody calling a wrong number. Like they thought it was like their friend Karen or something.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to leave them hanging. So
I
figured sending them some Lost Faith was
that's a lot better than saying you'll be over at 10 to have sex with her.
That's my missionary work for this film.
I will have to leave to pick up my wife. She's having something else done. I'm not going to say on air, but one of the things I did want to leave one last thing before I left. Again, whenever I look at a movie, and I don't know who I've reviewed, and it's been a while, but when I review a movie, one of the things I like to say is I love looking at the lower budget independent film scene. Because, yes, there will be small problems here and there. And I say those things, of course, for the people who might come upon my other reviews of high-budget movies. But I also say that you're never going to find more creativity in the business than you will find in low-budget features because they don't have money to just like throw money at it, get it done. Yeah. We don't have the money to do this, but we've got to get it done. So low budget creators are probably some of the most creative people that I know.
Hands down. Yeah.
Hands down. So
we have to make what we can with them. Even Kevin Smith said that in Clerks. He goes, all this money, I can make 20 movies with all this money to do Clerks. You know,
yeah, and he made 4 and sold one as an NFT. So fuck that dude. But I get what you're saying.
and Escape from New York, even though it's still high budget, it's considered low budget. And then Escape from LA comes out. They got all this money thrown at them, and then they had Kurt Russell on a surfboard and they're high. Yeah,
you don't like the surfing, dude?
Oh, I hated LA. I love Escape from New York. But
you don't like the
LA,
basketball scene?
Oh, no, man. I was like, why are they doing this?
I love it. I love it because it's terrible, but yeah.
Well, they had all that money. All of a sudden, you know, where's that money in Escape from New York? It might not have been as good. It was probably better that they didn't have the money. But then
Should have
Escape
been
from
Lost
LA.
Face 2. That hairline should have been surfing across the fucking Gulf Coast or something.
Well, that hairline is Cope Ransom, but yeah, next to it is Nakota when I had hair, but now it's all gone. Well, it's still
dude,
there.
I would have loved to have seen the fucking ocean breeze flowing through those locks.
now
just
I'm
wearing
going,
a pair of jeans and nothing else while you're
Yeah,
surfing like a
yeah,
mega wave,
yeah,
punching a shark or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it was missing. A shark should have came out and Kurt Russell punched it.
Any case, it was definitely a pleasure getting to meet you again. And
you too, man. I think your wife is beautiful, by the way.
Oh well, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Lovely lady too.
All right, well, y'all take care.
Every time
Thanks,
I'm with
buddy.
Brandon,
Have a
I
good day.
just marvel at that tiny MST3K hat and how it's survived all these years. It's like looking at a living fossil.
And good to talk to you, buddy. We've talked before, but good to talk to you again. And thank you for everything you do.
We love you, bud.
All right, man. All right, Cody, you're up. I'm the host now. All right, you've reached the Joel Wynkoop
Yeah, this
hour.
is officially the fucking Coop stream.
We got the Mo and the Coder are here talking to us about why they like peanut butter on hot dogs. Tell us about it, Cody.
We got our new intro.
The peanut butter on the hot dog makes it I mean, because the hot dog is a notoriously slippery meat if you've ever dealt with one, in person. So I think a little bit of pea butter on that thing makes it a little bit grippier. It gives you a little bit more traction when you're dealing with that dog.
See, that's why I know we're together on this, because my dad introduced me to the peanut butter goes on the bun and the hot dog goes into the bun after the peanut butter's on.
It just kind of seals it in there like rubber cement.
Then you put the ketchup on right across. And there you got it. Maybe a slice of cheese.
Some onions if you're feeling fancy.
If you're an onion guy, put the onions on. Or sauerkraut.
Oh, am I the superior man in this? I love onions and sauerkraut. Are you guys those dudes that are like,
Nah, sauerkraut's awesome.
Sauerkraut is awesome.
On my route, I used to have a hot dog place, and I'd be like, I'll give you a free bottle of water if you give me some. I want a sauerkraut dog, and I want a chili dog, and a large Coke. Okay, there you go, and there's your bottle of water. See ya.
Hell yeah, dude. That's great. I've never lived in a place where there was hot dog stands. We had a hot dog restaurant for a minute called River Dogs. I used to go down there. I used to get a Philly cheesesteak hot dog, which is not something you ever thought you needed in your life until you've had it,
Well, we had the hot dog girl on the corner of Okeechobee and or 70 and Okeechobee. And I would always stop and see her. I pull my big Crystal Water truck. She's out there in a bikini. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I stopped for the hot dogs. I need that kind of boob on a bun. I mean, I need the dog on the bun. No, she was really nice. And but I'd get that. And then I had them on my route, actual, not stands, but they were in a big shopping plaza. And it'd be like Joe's Hot Dogs. And I serviced them, the water bottles, but then I'd get the hot dogs too.
Where are you from, Joel?
Minnesota originally.
Okay, so you guys are like out there. That's not like a West Coast. We're more of a taco centric.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm a taco guy too.
Out here.
Yeah.
Like that's where you find those, or it's like be some Greek folks. There used to be spreading some ethnic food. I like it.
Before Taco Bell, there was Taco Viva, and that was the old commercial with the guy looking like Clint Eastwood. He goes, "When you say taco, say Viva."
How did I not have this in my life? I mean, we are raised soft out here.
And then it had the little Chihuahua go, Taco Viva.
Oh, so Taco Bell just stole all of that then?
Oh no, I'm sorry, Taco Bell as a Chihuahua, but they had the
Yo Quiero Taco Bell. My lady has a dog that just looks just like that, and I felt
wow.
We both fell in love with each other instantly when I met it. Like the dog loves me for some reason. And I'm more of a cat person, if I'm honest. But I guess a dog like that is basically it's a bonier cat, is basically.
Yeah.
Like when the dog's this big, it's hard to take it seriously as a dog, so it just becomes a cat, I guess.
When it's barking, you're like, shut up.
If you can call it barking.
Yeah. Cody, what's up, Cody?
I'm just listening to you guys have a good time.
Bro, we're vibing out, but Joel's probably tired of hearing from me.
No, don't take
there.
it that way. I just feel
No.
bad for Cody. I go, man, we're manipulating.
Me too. This
Cody's
was
time.
Cody's episode, and we just kind of fucking broke down, I think, for a lot of it.
We're not going to talk anymore, Cody. We're just going to listen to you.
I feel like if I was Joel's neighbor, I would mow his lawn for him. Like sometimes just to be nice.
He does it, but he does it for the cash I give him. He doesn't do it to be
I do
nice.
it so you can show me roundhouse secrets.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm gonna have to jet in a few too. So I mean, if we want to wrap it up, we can. If you guys want to keep going, we can do that too. Sorry, I didn't mean to put that.
Now let's hit your questions.
No.
I don't want to completely.
I'm good. We hit the majority of. I don't really have a whole lot to add to it. I did like also we were talking about the twisted illusions and stuff, and then when you're reading that newspaper and you talk about a guy with a copper mask is out there killing people. You're talking about everything going on in the world.
Work truth or dare into it.
Yeah, I caught that one too. I don't think I had anything.
I didn't catch that one, but I did know. I did feel like the reference to stuff going on was like an extended sequence.
Jimmy Tammy Baker, that was in there. I say Evangelist had biggest scam of the century. That was Jim and Tammy. I say Copper Mask Killer. That was
it all one take or was it like multiple takes?
One big take, truth or dare. And then the other one was when I say the serial killer was let go because the search warrant was signed in the wrong place, was Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy Krueger. So everything I said in there related to a movie. And when you were saying about how long it took, it was an 8-day shoot. The last fight scene we shot, we took 3 days because I remember calling David Barge. I go, I got to have you come back one more. He goes, dude, I'm dead. What more do you want to do? I go, it needs more. We need something more so I can cut all 3 days together. So that fight scene is 3 days worth of fighting all cut together.
I don't know.
Cody, what do you think of that, Cody?
Go ahead, Cody.
I was the other fight I was wanting to. I like the setup for the Bruce Lee fight. The guy's showing you all his moves, doing the little Hulk Hogan with his t-shirt, and you just take him out with one hit.
Favorite scene in the entire movie.
And where did I take that from? Raiders of the Lost Ark. And everything I take, I borrow. Yeah. I mean,
it's like he condensed every single Bruce Lee movie down into one scene and then finished it with the Raiders of the Lost Ark thing.
He was that guy was Sam Bourne. He taught me the 1-2 power punch. I didn't get it right. He did it. I said, do it. That's where he puts your finger right against your chest, like Bruce Lee taught. And then within that second, and he hits, and he knocked me back like 4 foot. And that was it's from your fist, but it's 1-2 power punch. You put your finger here, and then you hit, and you knock me back 4 foot. I tried to do it to him. I wasn't very successful though, but it was pretty cool hanging out with him and doing that whole martial arts dance around each other, and then it was just one punch to take him out. And originally it was going to be his heart medication, and I said this ain't working. And I think my cameraman said you should just take him out with one punch. So when he did that flip in the air and he lands, pow, and to me that's humorous. Other people, like those other guys, might be like, oh, that was dumb, they should have blah blah blah. First of all, it's my fucking movie. I'll do what I want. I made it for me, not for you guys. So, but to me, that was the humor of it, but basically taken from Raiders of the Lost Ark. A lot of my stuff, in 187 times the movie, that's referenced, stuff's all over. And Craigline Incident too. I grab stuff from all over because I'm fans of all this stuff. I'm fans of Star Trek and Supernatural and, movies and TV shows. And if I incorporate my character, you're talking about, these things. So, and when I did Hammer, he talked about Guns of Navarone and, the movies of the late 70s, early 80s. So I try and incorporate all that stuff if I can.
Yeah, most of the stuff we grew up watching was influenced by stuff they grew up watching. I mean, unless you're, no offense, Joel, unless you're old enough to remember, some of the Universal Monster stuff was newer.
I Monsters, the Gill Man. I grew up on all that stuff. I grew up watching Creature Feature, had Dracula and Curse of the Werewolf, and Dracula versus
Svengoolie just played that.
Yeah, and Svengoolie's same thing as Creature Feature. Creature Feature was just ours in Minnesota. But yeah, I grew up on all that stuff. That's what started it. in the book I write, the way I got started on horror movies is there was 2 truck drivers at my neighbor's house there. I think they were movers. And he goes, "Hey, kid." And he had a Famous Monsters, and he threw it out the window to me. He goes, "That'll keep you up at night." And we thought that was the greatest
What a
thing.
badass dude.
Me and my neighbor were like, "Oh, look at all these things. Look at these monsters, Dracula."
Seriously,
this
though,
is cool.
moments of silence for that fucking legend right there. Like, just, I mean, I definitely gave my fair share of Fangorias to like my little cousins, but I never did a savage move like that where I was like, "That'll keep you up at night, kid," and just tossed one to like a little bit. That's so
he probably
fucking
doesn't.
badass.
He probably doesn't know it, but that started me on a whole career, doing these kind of movies. So, Cody, what are you doing? He's rocking that Wynkoop shirt, I'll tell you that.
Oh, of course. That's all I've got, guys. I'm sure I could do more, and we definitely, like I told you before, I mean, we just scratched the surface. So even if it's not for a particular discussion, I think it'd be fun just to have you on again, just to BS about not only your stuff, but just movies in general. I mean, you're a big fan of it like we are. So I mean, just talking as fans, I think would be a lot of fun as well.
Yeah,
we do a Monday show called Schlock Talk, where we just talk about low budget stuff and whatever we've watched in the last week and whatever comes to mind, So.
Yeah, I had the guys from Retro Geek. They have me on a lot, and a lot of times, well, we were going to talk about you this time, but we want to talk about RoboCop, and I go, RoboCop's one of my favorite movies. Yeah, I want to be on. So there was no Joel Wynkoop talk. We were just talking about RoboCop, and then we did Chud. I love Chud. When Daniel Stern shows up and the guy's like, "Who are you?" "I work at the soup kitchen." "Thank God you deliver." That was great.
We talked about Chud, I think, I don't know, week or two before.
It's ahead of its time, You can DoorDash
awesome.
food from our local soup kitchen now, which is insane.
Yeah. Oh. I remember 2 of the radio personalities. He went there once for the show, but then he goes, "I go there every day for lunch," and he's going, "You go to the soup kitchen?" Mainly you got your people coming in from the street. And he's like, "You're a big radio star. You go to the soup kitchen for your lunch?" "Well, I can't make anything, so I go there to eat." "Are you paying them?" "No."
Shit.
But, well, guys, this has been fun. Yes, I would love to do it again. It'd be awesome. Mo, it's awesome to talk to you. And Cody, of course, and Brandon. And it's still been a lot of fun, man. I really enjoyed it. I told you, Cody, I can run circles around you, man.
That's all right. I'm here
24 hours.
Yeah, I'm here just to listen to stories. Like you've been doing this for so long. I mean, it's nothing else just to listen to you tell stories. I could listen to that all day.
We got 190 more movies to do.
What's your favorite Wynkoop movie, and what's the one that you would recommend me check out next? I guess based on my taste.
My favorites. I just said this in a radio interview, I think last night or the night before. Creep has always been a favorite of mine, and of course, Lost Faith, because it's very close to my heart because I wrote it, directed it, produced it, acted in it,
and sang.
And sang. But Lost Faith would be Creep. Tim, I remember Tim telling me, he goes, "That's not what you're supposed to do, but I saw you were having so much fun, I just let you go." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, man," because it was fun. And I think Tim likes that he let me go because it's a good scene. But those are my 2 top probably favorites. I do like 187 Times, what I got coming up with that. I think that's going to be fun. But, and then the Dan Hess characters, and I like Truth or Dare 5. It takes a while to get going, but when it does, it's pretty nonstop. But I've reprised that Dan Hess character like 11 times now in different people's movies, plus the 5 Truth or Dare movies. And Rot was fun because, playing that weird scientist. And I'm going to do that again for Sean Donahue's for his movie Swamp Woman. That's what got me interested. He goes, "You're going to be playing Robert Olson again." And I said, "Gee, I paid Robert Olson like 25 years ago. I'd love to do that again. That'd be fun." And, but yeah, my favorite would have to be Lost Faith and Creep, I think, because I got to do so much with the characters. It's funny. Lost Faith, I'm saving people. Creep, I'm killing people.
Looking forward to Creep to confirm if I've seen it. What's that, Cody?
It's like the yin and yang. He's helping and hurting in those 2 movies.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always say I've done everything but porn. I said that at the premiere, they had me come up in front of everybody and talk about all the stuff I've done and how I worked with the TV station and my television show, my movies. and regular acting jobs, television commercials, television shows, and talked about all that there. But yeah, just in a general thing in the whole entire acting field, trying to cover everything I can. And I said I've done everything but porn, because I've done sci-fi, martial arts, drama, comedies, dark comedies, everything in the what an actor would want. An actor wants to cry, he wants to laugh, he wants to get mad, you want to let all these feelings out, you want to show people what you can do. And I try and make it so if you see my next movie, it's a little different from the movie before, which is different from the movie before. Dan Hess is different from Steve Nakota. Steve Nakota is different from Nick Hazard. Nick Hazard is different from James Kirk. James Kirk is different from Dan Hess. I want to make them different. I want to keep people involved and interested, and I don't want to be boring.
Hey, man, it's not too late, too, for the porn, I mean.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought you meant to be boring.
Joel Wynn porn. Christ through copulation. Oh, we could do it.
I want to give Dustin Hubbard a shout out. I bought some of your movies that you're in with him through him.
Awesome.
I got Ouija Mummy, and then I got both versions of Like Animator.
Cool.
Which I want to say, aren't you going to reprise the pizza guy in something else, or did you already do that?
Dustin,
was supposed to happen and didn't happen, or something like that.
He showed me the title page. It's Karate Irving.
That's right.
And he goes, I'm writing a whole script for you. And I go, oh, that'll be awesome. But haven't heard a thing from it since the day he held it up and showed me on Facebook. It said Karate Irving. And he goes, I'm making the script. And that was a fun character to play too, because they let me do it with doing the karate, but being totally silly, the whole time. Like, what are those two doing over there? Oh, yeah. Throw some karate at him, boy. Yeah. So doing it really like, They Call Me Bruce with Johnny Yoon, doing it really funny like that. And I like to play those characters that are just, like I always wanted to do one where a lot of movies have that where everybody's in the car, Evil Dead, a bunch of movies. The guy's driving, the girlfriend, two girls, and the goofy guy in the back. I would love to do one where the goofy guy's in the back going, I just think you're really pretty. Oh, thanks. Hey, man, don't talk to my girlfriend that way. I wasn't like talking to her. I was just telling her how nice her legs were, and she has a beautiful pair of breasts. And the guy grabs it. Hey, man, talk about my girlfriend like that. I'm going to beat your ass. Okay, man, don't get all. There's a movie called Physical Confrontations, and I just remember the guy at work when I gave him a copy, and he watched it. He goes, you played such a pussy in that. I go, that was the point. I never raised my hands to fight. The guy grabs me, lifts me off the couch, and I'm going, please let me down, sir. Don't hurt me. And the other guy's there to protect me. He's going, dude, let him go. And I go, yeah, man, no, please don't hurt me. And I fall down on the couch, and the girlfriend's calling me. She's going, it's okay, sweetheart. And I'm like, he's going to beat me up, isn't he? And so I played the total opposite of a Lost Faith character. And that was a lot of fun to do. Like Kurt Russell in Death Proof. At the end, he's like, girls, that was fun, but I gotta go. And then by the end, he's like, I'm just kidding. And they're like, we're fucking kidding too, motherfucker. Bam, 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 beat the. And he's crying. That was right before I did Demon Club, and I copied Kurt Russell because the big, bald monster guy in the movie comes after me, and I punch him and kick him. I give him everything I got. I feel his bald head. I go, I seen Rocky 3. And then I punch it and I wear myself out. And then I go, can we just talk about this? And he goes, ah, bam. And he hits me in the chest, and I hit the wall, and I slump down, and I start crying like, oh. And then when I put my head up, when I see he's gone, I go, you better have run, motherfucker. I'd have kicked your ass. So, I love doing that stuff. That's fun.
Oh, yeah. Septum Sin says you.
Point. Yeah, I forgot about. Are you still planning on doing the follow up to Craiglawn in Vegas?
Oh God, that'll never happen. Someone said that, and Dustin Hubbard actually is the one that said it. He goes, Craiglawn Incident 4, and then he had a name, and then he had said Craiglawn Incident 5, and then he had a name, and then Craiglawn Incident 6 had a name. My wife was taking it way too serious. She's like, he's not doing any more Craiglawn, no more Craiglawn movies. And I go, no, I said that was pandemic owned. That's why I did it that way. I'm not really interested in doing another one of those. And not much interested in a lot. My editor makes me crazy. When I'm editing, it drops stuff and it's making me nuts. It's too hard to put these things together by myself anymore. For our next one with Phil, I think we're going to end up probably James Panetta will do I Slay on Christmas, because it's too hard. And but like I said, it doesn't really matter to me because people always bitch about something. You can make it as I did the version and James Panetta did a version, and we thought James Panetta's version was pristine. But even Brandon said, he goes, no, he still had audio problems and this and that. And I'm like, it was perfect. So, it's always somebody's going to say something about something. So, but I wouldn't want to do the Craiglang the way I did. It was too hard, because I was pulling in footage from, Sri Lanka and Russia, Australia, Japan, and then all across the United States. I'm kind of done with that. And 187 times, it was too hard getting in and out of that time suit. So I said, I don't want to do that again. It was too time consuming. I Slay on Christmas. I wrote a simple little slasher thing. And I'm going to make it as easy as I can do, because it's just not worth spending the time on these things. It's good, though, for you guys, because you guys appreciate it, and a lot of guys do appreciate it, and I hear from those. So it is the simple so-and-sos that I hear from that, bitch and whine about something that I don't care that much. That's why I don't care that much, because there's those people out there that are bitching and whining about it. But guys like you will appreciate it, and other people like you, they appreciate it.
Yeah, I was actually, when they brought it up, I believe I mentioned how it's odd that we haven't hit a point where like smart TVs can auto mix stuff like that,
Yeah, do it all. Yeah, it's like I say that about my computer. I go, why doesn't the computer know what I click buttons and click things on the screen, and I'm like, why doesn't the computer know I'm trying to change an R to an A? Why doesn't the computer know that? So yeah, you think on your TV, smart TVs, they would auto correct. Why couldn't they auto correct volume? It would auto correct. But then the same thing that people bitch about when they say see one of my movies. Well, the music was so loud. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Go to a $1 million megaplex and go see the Avengers. I'm sitting in there going, God, turn the volume down. That's too fucking loud. Do you think they go up to the audio guy and go, hey, can you turn the volume down? It's too loud for me. Turn the truck explosions and Thor's hammer. Turn that down. No, they don't. You sit there and watch it and you don't bitch.
Yeah, and I think that's also contributed to why a lot of people don't give a shit about soundtracks anymore, because they don't hear it half the time over all the junk that's going on in the movie.
Yeah,
I'd rather hear the soundtrack a little bit over mixed so that I can get those vibes. Maybe, baby. That's what I'm.
A good example is when they did in Rocky 3, they showed the montage and you hear Eye of the Tiger. You heard every word of Eye of the Tiger, but you just get a montage. You don't get his helmet hitting a statue. Or if it is, it's so well turned down, but you're getting the soundtrack.
We're not listening to his balls slapping his leg as he's jogging along.
Yeah, you're hearing the soundtrack.
We're listening to the fucking song.
Yeah, what do you want to do when you leave the theater? Maybe you want to go buy that soundtrack. I remember seeing a movie with my buddy Robert Kelly way back again, like 1978. And it was the Mamas and the Papas. California Dreaming was the movie, but also they put it there. You had all these great songs in there, and at the end it says, buy California Dreaming on Capitol Records. And the first thing he did, we stopped at a record store, if you can believe that. Do you know what a record store is?
Yeah, I still go to one like once a month.
Stopped at a record store on the way home and bought California Dreaming because he saw it from that. So yeah, I mean, that's why we have the soundtracks there. I mean, so people can hear them, and guys like me, I just put Toshi Harialko. I use a lot of his music. And I put him into the so instead of just hearing his music, this time you get to see him. So he sent me a little scene of him, and I got it in the interviews. And but I use a lot of his music because I bought a lot of his music from him. And that was the other thing. I'm the one that told Toshi. I go, Toshi, start charging. Charge me, charge Tim, charge all these other filmmakers because we all can afford it. So stop giving us stuff for free. So I told Sean that the other day. He goes, yeah, he charged me for the music. I go, he probably charged you because I told him to. I didn't say specifically charge Sean Donahue. I said, Toshi, you deserve to be paid for your music. Start charging these independent actors because
Yeah.
they can afford it. And I was the first one, as far as I know, I was the first one to pay him. Everybody else was getting it for free.
As long as it's not exorbitant and you know it's going
Yeah.
to make your movie better, then go for it.
I think I paid for the one I Star Lost. I called it. I renamed it. It was like $300, but I bought it. You know, it's mine now. And then I've had several others that were less than that for if I did a short or something. But these were ones. And the Pandemonium Bureau, actually, him and William Westwater gave me that because Toshi and William both said, I guess, I don't know about other countries, like Toshi's in Japan. And William, I'm not sure if he's in Australia, but there's something over there that I don't want to say prevents them from getting stuff out, but they were like, you know, please put our music in the Craiglon incident. And that's why you hear the Pandemonium Bureau. Because they asked me, they said, please, we'd be honored if you'd put our music in your movie. And not because it's my movie. I think it more or less, it gets it out there where other people can hear it. Opposed to going to YouTube and, you know, put Pandemonium Bureau in there. You know, you're seeing it in the movie. In a movie, it seems more relevant in a movie. Oh, they used your song in a movie? Oh, you know?
Well, yeah,
Oh, yeah. If a song hits
you're giving
good.
them, you're giving them credit also and not just throwing the song on there
Mm-hmm.
and just not, I mean, it's mutually beneficial because you're giving them a shout out. They can be like, hey, this is my music. It's in the movie. You don't believe me? Look at the credits. It's got my name on it. Whereas opposed, a lot of these people are just borrowing and finding stuff and either hoping that person doesn't find out or just blatantly ripping it off and not caring.
Well, I speak straight out about that. I use a lot of Kevin MacLeod stuff. He's on YouTube, but his music's really good. It's not like, oh, here's a guy that's got some music. It's okay. No, his music, Kevin MacLeod on YouTube, his music is awesome. I got some on my desktop. McConnellith. That's cool. Dark Passing is awesome. A lot of his music is so cool, and it's like they saw me in Stop Dead, and the daughter asked the mom, who was also in Stop Dead, and she was impressed with my acting. She turned to her mom and she goes, "Why isn't that guy in Los Angeles doing big movies?" Which was nice for me to hear, but it's the same thing as Kevin MacLeod. I'm like, why is that guy not scoring big movies in Hollywood? I mean, the music's great. And I gladly will, you know, and that's, you can use his stuff, just give him credit. So right in the front credits, you got, you know, music by, you know, Toshi Hiroyuki, Wynkoop Productions, Twisted Illusions Incorporated, Toshi Hiroyuki, and Kevin MacLeod. So they're getting their credits they want. They're not asking any money. They just want you to use their stuff in something and give them credit.
Pretty much. I mean, I'm a big fan too of the Chris Sieber approach, which is just going and seeing the bands live and like giving them your movies and getting the permission from them to use their music in your movies. Not gonna lie though, man, a lot of my early videography aspirations were of the skate video, like skateboarding video Persuasion.
Oh, cool.
So I'm all about just bootlegging that shit too. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to use it. And then if they cease and desist it, like, thank God that I had a separate audio track for the, you know.
Have it ready. And all you're going to get is a cease and desist. And then if somebody does,
then I'll just stop doing it, you know?
Yeah. Or you say to them, dude, do you really care? Is it a big deal? And they might be like, dude, I don't care. I just, you know, you're cool. I'm talking to you. Let it go. No big deal.
Yeah, we like the song. Obviously, that's why we put it in there.
Yeah, you know? I mean, you take something from Kansas, you're going to have a problem, you know.
Maybe.
Somebody that's been around. You know, I'm sure that the people that did Supernatural didn't just grab Carry On My Wayward Son, and throw it into the TV show and go, maybe Kansas won't find out, or their reps.
See, but I'm the type of dude who might have like that intro riff to that where it gets really funky and then like have that cut into like a rap beat, you know, and then
you're changing it then. Yeah, that's different.
You've taken some artistic license with it.
Yeah, well, what do you think they do when they Vanilla Ice dun 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 dun? That's how mine goes. Theirs goes dun 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 dun. Mine's completely different.
Right.
Really, Vanilla Ice sounded the same to me.
I mean, I don't know. Vanilla Ice was definitely biting some shit, not just giving it credit. I'd be like, yeah, that's the Kansas riff. What are you talking about? You know, it's of course it's the Kansas riff.
But then a lot of them, I hear the songs. The song that's from the past is put into the middle of their song, and they change it a little, and they try to say there's a name for it, not borrowing, but it's
sampling.
It's sampling. Yeah, that's the name. Which is, yeah, it's sampling, but it's still kind of. But it depends on how it is, how long it is, how you change it, how you move it in there, and the structure of it, and all that shit. So.
Oh, there's shit in this movie that's like prime candidates for samples. Like, what's that girl says something like, "I've half a mind to kick you right in the privates, but I'm too much of a lady."
Yeah,
like that needs to be sampled and put right at the beginning of like a turntable scratch, and then like a rugged hip hop.
I see. That'd be different for me. I'd love that.
I do have one last thing I'd like to do before I at least wrap up my portion of this.
Sorry, Cody.
You're fine. Joel, I got a co-star of yours that wants to hop on and say hi if you don't mind.
Oh, awesome.
What did you do, Cody? Oh, okay.
Hey,
Blaze.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
I'm good.
I enjoyed your performance in 187 times as the meanie victim. You did that great. You were like walking up like, "Hey, everything okay?"
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
Good job. Love it, man. I got to put you in something else. The next time I do something again, I'll have to get Cody to put you in a scene or something.
Oh, yeah, I'd be happy to.
Because I look, when I scroll on Facebook, I see you and your dad out to the movies or in front of the house or just out doing activities. And I think that's so cool. Always be cool to your dad. Sadly, my oldest boy died of cancer. And then my daughter's off with her own family. A lot of times I don't hear from her unless she's having a fight with her boyfriend. But then my next oldest was Jimmy, and then Adam and Logan, my twins. And I rarely hear from them. They don't really talk to their dad. I think their mom corrupted them against me. And I would love to have the relationship you and your dad have. So you're at home, you're with your dad, you get to enjoy things, you go to movies together. And I just think that's really cool. So be awesome to your dad, and your dad loves you very much. And you seem like you're growing up perfect, man. So you keep doing what you're doing. There's so many kids out there that I'm like, the pants are hanging down past his ass, and he's just disrespectful, and he can't speak right. And so I'm kind of seeing the level when I go to Chick-fil-A. I'm seeing a lot of the younger kids that aren't there. Well, Chick-fil-A, hey, I'm telling you,
that's where they're at.
They got the best as far
they're
as
in Chipotle,
McDonald's and Burger King. But they, their pants are hitched up. They look nice. They're very polite. I mean, I know it's their job, but you're still polite. But McDonald's is like, order when you're ready. So you keep going the way you're going, son, because I'm very proud of you. And I know your dad is too.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
No, we're proud of you, man. I mean, it's Jack Allen. Well, I don't have it on hand right now, but yeah, that short film you did that inspired me. It's like, I got to get out there and do something. I can't just sit around and never do something again.
See, that's I did how a pretty I feel.
Good.
Oh, I was just gonna say that's how I feel. That's why I can't stop. I told Phil I don't really want to do I Slay on Christmas. I went to go to bed at 5 a.m. after editing. I closed my eyes. I had my prayers for everybody. And I Slay on Christmas just shot into my head, and I had the whole thing there in 10 seconds. I go, it's just cheesy slasher, Christmas time. I'm not going to worry about Christmas trees and ornaments. This is in this guy's world where he hates Christmas, so he avoids that. And he gets mad at people because they're happy, and he kills them, and they come back to haunt him.
Beautiful.
Simple. Yeah, simple. They keep it simple, stupid. But yeah, with your shooting stuff and being with your dad, just keep doing what you're doing, buddy.
We'll get you a copy of Jack Allen here soon. Signed by fucking Blaze right there. No,
actually, all the ones I have right now are signed by the whole cast. So
yeah, we'll get you the movie and the poster. Tell you what, next Friday I'll order. So set 2 of them aside for me, Blaze.
Awesome. I'll get with his dad too about that stuff. I didn't know that. I think Cody mentioned it once, or I saw it on Facebook or something. So I think that's really cool.
Good Blaze is the future, man. I mean,
that's cool.
That's a big part of what we're trying to do over here, is not only like connect with you older cats, you old heads that have been doing this for a long time, but like dudes like Blaze that are, up and comers.
Yeah.
The next thing that we're going to be doing after this discussion with you today is this thing for Face Melt Features double feature of short films.
Oh, cool.
One's Night of the Axe, the other is Spirit Board, Doorway to Death.
Neat. Cool.
These were both directed by my dude Sean Wright.
Neat.
He's a little bit older than Blaze. I think he's like,
Oh, that's neat.
like 25 or something like that. But he's like getting into it, and he's doing a good job. Just released his first full-length film, and I'm hoping to see the same thing for Blaze soon. Him and Cody, I think, could put out a full-length movie that
Cool.
would, do some shit. He's got Amityville Bloodbath coming out in the near future. So something to look forward to.
Hey, that's what it's all about. The next generation. I got a kid here in town. Probably Blaze. How old are you?
16.
Okay, I think he's 17 or 18 because he got me wanted to do the where you go to the school and you talk to him. It's like a teacher's the American teaching, and I've done 5 or 6 of those. But he always calls me. He wants me to come out, but he's starting into video production and all that. So his dad is always like, Joel, can you give my boy tips and stuff? And I'm like, yeah, anytime. And he does a little show like you guys are doing, but his is smaller, younger. And so I'm all about trying to help out. Well, I do that again anyway. Like I said, when I let someone says, "Hey, can I be in one of your movies?" I'm not like no and walk away. I'm go, yeah, let's see what you can do, and I'll give him a chance. So I'm all for that. If I can help out somebody, whether it's a young man like Blaze or some guy just said, he goes, "Thank you, Joel Wynkoop, so much for putting me in 187 times. I never thought I would be doing something like this at the age of 50." So I want to be able to help everybody. You're young, intermediate, you're older. I want to help people fulfill their dreams.
This is equal opportunity shit, man. I mean, there's a zombie movie out there that's on Tubi made by a girl when she was like 12 years old. I forget the name of it, but it's on there. Like it's written, directed, acted in, and like it's a full Wynkoop experience. But It's this kid that was like 12 years old that just made her own zombie movie with the people in her neighborhood, and it's on Tubi, dude.
Cool.
So you can get this shit on Tubi, is what I'm saying.
That's great to have that. Those are the things and that's what my thing is always to be on TV, and sometimes not Tubi. I like Showtime or just Channel 12 or Channel 5, something local, but Tubi's pretty cool. And Blaze, I want to tell you this. If you ever want me to do anything for you that I can shoot here, I'm more than glad to do that for you.
Awesome. I'll keep that in my mind.
You bet, buddy.
Yep.
Well, good. Mo's gone. But good talking to all you. And so good to see Blaze and Cody. I told him I think it's just so neat that you're there. You're the dad, and you guys get to spend time together. And I envy that because I don't get to do that with my kids anymore. I mean, they're all grown, but still, that's not the point, So I just think it's awesome what you guys got. So
yeah, we have a blast doing it, and I appreciate you coming on. I mean, you hung out with us for almost 3 hours. That's pretty insane.
Fun, man. No, I had a good time. When I go off, I'll use the bathroom. I'll get another soda, and then I got to go finish the edit and try and get that out in the mail on Monday. But this has been great. I loved it, man.
Yeah, will you please, Kathy's husband, will you please tell her we asked about her?
Oh, I absolutely will.
Can you hook me up with the barber that's giving him that Bieber cut, dude?
Which one?
I need that part in my face.
Oh, wait, who is that? I forget.
Nah, I'm just giving these guys trash.
Okay. No,
Chucky
I thought
Charm
you were
shirt
about,
is legit.
That. Yeah. Okay, the Chucky. Yeah, I thought you were talking about the guy in Lost Faith. He has half a beard. This half is shaved, and this half is a mustache and a beard all the way up here.
Dude, I can't even grow a mustache. I'm fucking, pushing 40 here. We're getting older.
I could, but it comes out shaggy. I let it grow one time, and it's grown.
Cody got the fur genes. This kid will have a thicker beard than I'll ever have in my life.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Do you have anything else you want to ask him there, Blaze?
Just I'm in love with your work, and if you ever need anything else, just let me know.
Thanks, Blaze. Did you like 187 times the short?
I did. I really did. It was really good.
Cool.
What's your favorite Wynkoop flick?
So far, I'm gonna have to say 187 times.
Wrong answer. Lost Faith.
Well, I'll tell you what, I spent a lot of time writing that and trying to get, because when I was doing the time travel thing, I was like, okay, if I went back in time and Phil's character is already my boss, but somebody went back in time and made him thrown off the bridge and he's dead, he can't exist in the future. So as someone else took over because he disappeared from the timeline. So my building, I exist, but outside kind of the timeline. So I've got to go back in time to make sure he does die. So I can go back in time again to prevent him from dying so he can be back in the future again. So I can tell by your look, you're going, what? So that's the whole time travel thing.
Yeah,
it's like in Voyager, Tuvok and I forget the other guy's name, but they went down to, it was on Earth. It was a time warp movie, just like Star Trek. And Voyager went back in time, and they were in somebody's
Actually,
office.
it literally was Star Trek, because you're talking about an episode of Voyager.
Star Trek Voyager, but I mean, it wasn't Star Trek original. Kirk was.
It was just like Star Trek.
Yeah,
because it was an episode of Star Trek.
What's his name? He used to be part of the Maquis, and then he joined with Janeway. He picked up a Matchbox car off the desk, and he goes, "Oh, this is so cool!" And Tuvok goes, "Put that back down," and he puts it down, but he didn't put it in the right order, and he goes, "Move it!" And then Tuvok grabbed it and moved it like a millimeter, and oh god, I can't remember his name. The blonde guy on, come on, Mr. Voyager, you know who I'm talking about. He used to be who? Oh yeah, Paris. Paris put the car back down, not in the right position, and then Tuvok grabbed it and moved it like a millimeter. And Paris is like that's gonna like that assaulted the timeline. And Tuvok is, everything you do here could change the timeline, because just like mine was, I use the example of a time warp thing. If somebody's walking along in the street, you go back in time and you dropped a quarter when you went back in time, it fell out of your pocket, then you disappeared back into the timeline. Somebody's walking down the street,
they're gonna find that quarter, and it could bring up about
right.
entire chain of events.
Picks up a quarter, invested in whatever, gets $2, invested in Vegas, becomes a millionaire. But or as he bent over to get the quarter, somebody was shooting at him. The bullet misses him, hits the president or some important lady behind him.
It can
Your
be
timeline's all changed.
It's like
again.
the whole idea of you step on a blade of grass or a butterfly, you change the whole
butterfly
fucking.
effect.
It's a ripple effect through time.
Yeah.
If you want to do yourself a favor, Blaze, for writing horror and fantasy and sci-fi, just watch a lot of old TV. Watch a lot of old Twilight Zone episodes. Watch a lot of old, any of that shit that they did back in the day.
Oh, Twilight Zone was
there's
awesome.
Tons of sci-fi, fantasy imaginings and like horror stuff that you can watch. Tales from the Dark Side, Tales from the Crypt, obviously the two main examples of that. But then there was other stuff like Rod Serling's Night Gallery and things like that. So there's lots of things that you need to watch just
Outer
to
Limits.
Get those ideas. Outer Limits for sure.
But Twilight Zone,
I loved Outer Limits. Twilight Zone is the grandfather of them all, I think.
If I just had 3 days where I just was gonna sit and eat and have something to drink, I would just put all the Twilight Zones in, just watch them. When they come up on Memorial Day, they play from Friday to Monday, and I haven't done it recently. But
bro, right here,
not doing anything,
I keep that motherfucking thing on me.
Yeah,
because
see?
you never know when you're gonna need the complete definitive collection of Twilight Zone. So this right here, Blaze, if you want a good foundation for writing weird horror ideas that you put your own spin on, get into all this shit, and then you could be the next Joe Sherlock, really, because you just have all these ideas that are fostered from cool fucking themes, and then you can put your own spin on them, man.
Yeah.
It's sort of a defeating thing. A lot of people that are into the arts or whatever will tell you, like, there's no guitar chord that's not been written before. There's no movie that's never been made. And it's like, get the fuck out of here. They haven't made my version of that shit,
Blaze, he meant to say, get the freak out of here.
Maybe. But you don't know.
I don't want to cut you off in your thought, but we got to bounce, fellas.
Yeah, you guys go. I'm gonna go too. I gotta get dinner and eat. I gotta close the gates of the park. I gotta fill that drink. I gotta get back to editing. I gotta tell my wife I'm still alive. I'm not dead back here. So this has been great, guys. Though, thank you so much, Blaze. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, get out there and create, bro.
Yeah. All right, guys. Take care. That was fun. Thank you so much. Thank you a lot.
You too, buddy.
All right. Bye-bye.